OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everyone? We're back here again with another episode of the Outcasted OC podcast, and it's a very great one because we have just finished up the Wrestlemania festivities of a great weekend and carried on with some Raw after Mania, and we are greeted by our now TV represented special guest right here in Courtney.
Fucking WWE caught me in my most vulnerable state on the and they couldn't even repay me in anything else. They've played that clip multiple times now. It is on multiple social platforms. The least y'all could have done is send me a video of Becky Lynch reacting to it.
We're still waiting.
Yeah, you know she's seen it.
I'm still waiting. I know she would have seen it. She'd have been like, "Oh, that's cute." Move on.
That's it. Just that's cute.
Moves on to attacking Lyra. Oh my god, we'll get into that.
Yeah, she's a heel now, so she's like, who the hell's that crybaby from New Zealand?
Not gonna lie to you. That was such a when I was seeing that in person, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. That was such a fucking valid crash out moment. I was like, Queen, I would have done the same.
Like real talk. We'll definitely get into it. But yeah, how's everyone feeling first and foremost? Obviously, you're probably going to see there is not a Georgina with us. That is usually in our fourth box. She is sadly missed, but she went to dentist. So you know what that's like when you have to get sedated in your gums and stuff. You ain't going to want to talk.
No.
Yeah, what time was the appointment? What time was the appointment?
I think it was like 2 o'clock. So
boss! I set you up there. I set you up.
It's Tiffy time.
No, the other dentist.
What time was the dentist appointment, Ross?
I don't know.
2:30. 2:30.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Jeez. Wow. Okay. Right. It was great, guys. Good to chat with you. Goodbye.
Oh my God.
That joke. Like, that
was so bad.
I think that is the most arguably autistic I have ever been of not catching a joke or someone's sarcasm ever. They're like that. Wow.
You were so close. So close. I think it was like 2
really
o'clock.
See myself in that moment just then. Like I've done it so many times before. Not diagnosed, but people seem to think I might have it as well. So my specialist subject is Becky Lynch and the Shield. If anyone wants to know.
Anyway. Let's progressively actually get onto topic. Let's talk night 1 and night 2. I'm going to make it very easy for us. I'm going to go on my opinion from least enjoyable matches on the cards to then build up to the better ones. Okay. So I am going to open the field with what was everyone's thoughts about El Grande Americano versus Rey Fénix.
Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
A really funny story to tell about that as well.
No, go on, dude. Yeah, go on.
We want to hear it all. Yeah, you've got like the inside deep.
At the end of the match, he was standing up on the turnbuckle facing my section. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it on camera, but I did the 2 middle fingers directly at him. Man's got a mask on, but I felt like he was piercing through my soul.
He just looked at you like, eyeballed you.
I literally was like, I'm about to get kicked out.
You're about to start something.
Guy wasn't like, he wasn't thank you. He was like, fuck you.
That's it. He looked at her and he went, oh, what does she know? She's not American.
I'm not she's not a Grande. What would I know, right? I'm not a Starbucks. Genuinely. You can
she's not from the Gulf of America. Thought they changed that, but you know.
You can order an El Grande Americano at Starbucks. It's actually so funny. I literally jokingly said to you guys, he sounds like a Starbucks drink. Well, in Vegas, you can buy the drink.
Yeah, it's an El Grande Americano.
All seriousness, I think it was a decent match. I think they definitely would have been facing a bit of an issue and situation with obviously Rey Mysterio getting injured the day before. Everyone was really looking forward to that match. I know I was looking forward to it. The result we got out of it was pretty good. I think when I say it was definitely an uphill battle, it's more the sense that especially with the casual audience, Rey Fénix is probably still establishing himself on WWE. So he's only been there for just less than a month. Like hardcore fans will know exactly who he is and what he's going to bring to the table. I think it's just really struggling to catch that balance between, oh, I know who this guy is and why is this random luchador being put in this match. All in all, I think it was really good. Ray Phoenix definitely got to show off his skills. I just am a bit confused as to why they didn't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, why didn't you not want to put him over if you're this huge talent? But I'm trying to remind myself that he's got a bit of time in his energies in terms of my brain's not working today. He's got
I know
a bit
what
of
you're saying. Yeah.
what I've been through. My brain will never work again. In terms of the fact that he's obviously still got time behind him in the company, I think there's WrestleMania opportunities. I've seen a lot of people El Grande Americano thing. I don't know what you guys think. I love it. I think it's just wrestling sometimes. People about this over the weekend, wrestling sometimes can be too serious, and you sometimes need people that are going to break that stereotypical mold and that are going to bring something different to the table. I'll obviously talk about Chelsea Green later on because she's just a prime example. But you just need somebody that's going to push the boundary and just be a bit different. We can't all be as serious as Gunther all the time, because if we were, wrestling would be boring. We need those comedic wrestlers. We need those wrestlers that are going to bring that fun element. And I think that's exactly what we got here. We had a really serious night one, and I think this was the perfect match in the middle to kind of make sure people weren't thinking that night one was too serious, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
No, I get that. Yeah. You brought up a perfect point of them picking Ray Phoenix. I thought that was the weirder choice, because if you were going to pick anyone that was going to replace Rey Mysterio, in my perfect opinion, I was more expecting a Dragon Lee. Because
so was I. Yeah,
he was in Mania last year. Remember, he got pulled from that match and Andrade got put in instead.
Yeah, and that's what kind of annoys me, is the fact of Dragon Lee's been built up to be Ray's protege. He protects Ray. The fact of knowing Ray got injured, I would have gave it to Dragon Lee. It just feels really silly. They kind of just went, "Oh, Ray Phoenix is the new star. Let's put a new star on Mania." And I'm like, well, that's not a good idea, because, in my personal opinion, it deflates his whole character, because you put him on such a major platform and gave him a first major loss in front of such a huge audience. So kind of I would have left him to not take an L that big.
I have two different opinions on the Ray Phoenix thing. Like, first of all, when I realized it was him that was going to be replacing Ray Mysterio, I was like, yeah, take my money. I like Chad Gable versus Phoenix, 100%. That's amazing. But yeah, at the same time, Dragon Lee, he can afford to take the loss.
Yeah,
he's literally right there in the same faction as Ray. So I thought that was a little bit strange. With that being said, when it comes to El Grande Americano, that was a losing battle for Phoenix in the first place. Not just because he's not been there for very long. Grande Americano's over.
Yeah, they want to push it.
Over.
Yeah.
He's over in a what people are just kind of taking the. I don't know if they're taking the piss by cheering him, or he's just it's comedy, which people love. I love it. I think it's great. I have been seeing a bit of backlash online from a lot of people about how the whole cultural appropriation thing, or he shouldn't be using a mariachi band. And I was reading it and looking at it and thinking, you do know he's a heel, right? He's a heel. In wrestling, it's not real. He's using a mariachi band. I was talking to someone about this, someone from that community, and he gave me a different perspective on it. And the perspective was, don't take it as you are culturally appropriating, something like a mariachi band, as a joke. You have given that mariachi band a platform in front of 60,000 people to perform. You've given them a great job and a great opportunity. That's amazing. Not only that, you're taking something and exposing it to a wider audience. Mariachi, might not be known all around the world, to a lot of people. Some people might listen to the music and go, "This is cool. I like this." Same way as when Drew comes out with a kilt, or when someone who's not Scottish wears a kilt. We don't get all our panties in a bunch about it. Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
the thing is as well. You can throw the cultural appropriation, but other groups have done that. Other people have had that. If we really want to go that level, you could say some of Judgment Day. That could be considered you're engrossing on goth culture and emo culture, all of that thing. everything. If you're gonna go like culture appropriation, then everyone's culture appropriated everything. It's called inspiration.
I think
It's
it's
not.
more of a
these days. It's a little bit harder to say that a specific area of pop culture or a nationality or just like culture in general hasn't been encroached upon. It's 2025. Like
yeah, exactly.
At this point, I understand where people are coming from, but at this point, I'm kind of like, pretty much everything we see nowadays is either cultural appropriation, it's been inspired by something, or it's a direct rip-off. Like, I don't understand how like you can argue back with these people and be like, well, actually, like, unfortunately, this is just the generation that we're in now. Like, you know,
I understand that it's a bit of a hot button topic. Like right now in the US, it's a bit of a hot button topic, like what's going on. And I think that's why
it also plays into it really well. It's because it's
exactly, and that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, I understand that people might be getting.
It's somebody doing a direct, like, haha, this is what's happening. Like, it's kind of like a look back at yourself moment. You know,
I understand that people might be getting a bit offended about it, which is fair. Like, okay, fine, but you've got to take it into the concept of like, again, this is wrestling. Like, they know it's going to trigger some people. That, I mean, that's the point. Like, he's called El Grande Americano, for God's sake. His whole character is to fight luchadors. That they're even acknowledging it on screen, where luchadors are taking offense to him appropriating their wrestling style, their heritage. You had Vikingo attacking before the bell, which was fantastic. I thought that was great. I think people need to look into it a little bit too much.
That's actually one thing I did want to ask you, Ross, when I got back on the pod, because obviously, like, I saw that whole setup and everything from where I was seated. Is Vikingo still in AEW, or like, what's the go ahead with that?
He was never signed. He was never signed to them.
Okay, cool. Just because I was like, oh, that's interesting that they did that.
He had a working relationship with them because Vikingo worked for CMLL and AAA. So he any work he could do with CMLL, he was flying over and doing it with them, because you got to remember Kenny Omega had the previous CMLL Aztec, or it was either AAA or CMLL, but he had one of the Mexicano belts that Vikingo had. Said they were building that feud between Kenny and Vikingo. They never signed him to a contract agreement. He was doing a bit of work in Ring of Honor until he got injured. And then obviously now WWE's purchased AAA. That's where it gets very interesting, because Vikingo technically can still stay, I'd rather go work with AEW. But now, if you wanted to do any kind of Lucha Libre work with AAA, it depends on what their contract agreements, because one particular person has been released from their contract agreement because they have.
See you later, dude.
Yeah, but we'll get into that when we talk about the AAA thing. But still, like, I think regardless of whether or not you like El Grande Americano or you don't, the whole idea of wrestling is to evoke emotion from you. And if you're getting some form of reaction, then that's better than not reacting, right?
Yeah.
100%. Don't get lost in the sauce. Don't get like triggered.
Like, at the end of the day, like, we're not saving lives here. We're just, it's just wrestling.
Yeah. We're wearing spandex and fighting in a squared circle. Come on.
With baby oil on as well too.
Right. Shout out Randy Orton. Like, and like,
I got enough baby oil on, just the right amount. Fuck's sake.
Love it.
Love it. But yeah. Following that up was, I would say, an interesting tag match. I wouldn't say it was the greatest, but I thought it was still at least decent, between War Raiders and New Day. The main thing I got to take away from it is that New Day finally have the momentum back that they've won. Let's hope they keep it and at least book them decent storylines going forward, because God, they have needed it.
Yeah.
In hindsight, this match should have been on the card. It should have been the TLC match that we're getting on Friday. Big E. All right, so I had a lot of people complaining about how it was like a straightforward WrestleMania this year. I couldn't agree any less. Like, it's ridiculous that you say that. And I think, no offense, Ross, and I've said this to a couple of people, and this is not disrespectful to AEW. I think people have been fine-tuned by AEW by expecting a run-in or an interference in every match on like a pay-per-view. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it happens more often on AEW than it does in WWE. And a lot of people were complaining about WrestleMania because it wasn't like moment shocking, exciting. If I was like, yeah, but we're getting some great matches. Sit back and enjoy the matches.
But then to counter that point, because I know what you're saying, and it's not disrespectful to AEW. Counterpoint to that, people get pissed off at AEW when they just do good matches and don't do those spots either. AEW do those spots to try and be different from WWE when WWE were doing it for a while. Now AEW started doing it and WWE haven't. It's fickle fans. That's the best way I can explain it.
It's just people. I think it's just people not knowing what they want.
This is the point I was about to bring up. Like the point is, this is one of those matches where we should have had some interference or a bit of a shocking moment.
I agree.
Whether that be Big E interfering or something happening, except for like the New Day cheating to win it. I expected that. Of course, that was probably going to happen. But I did think either Big E was going to help the New Day or help the War Raiders. I just don't think it should have been on the card. This wasn't a WrestleMania match. And maybe I didn't get a good read on it, but I enjoyed the match. Both of them put on a decent showing. It felt like a Monday Night Raw match.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same.
Yeah, that's just me. But Court, did you get a different reading in the stadium?
No, the reading was very much similar in the stadium. I think because this match took place after Jay and Gunther, I think people were riding the wave and had a little bit of excitement for it. But the crowd was really quiet during this match, which is, I think they did, like WWE definitely had an opportunity earlier on, once the momentum of New Day's heel turn was truly in effect, to actually make this happen a lot sooner. I feel like, people talk a lot about like delayed gratification and like if you want something really exciting, you need to wait for it, i.e., Cody finally finishing his story. I think that's a completely different example from what we saw here. I think, the New Day storyline got put on the back burner for too long. And then as an effect of that, it kind of lost a little bit of steam. And then they obviously wanted to, reinvigorate it coming out of WrestleMania. And that's fine. Yeah. But 100%. I definitely do agree in terms of, I do think that the SmackDown tag match had more momentum going into WrestleMania than this one did. And really, I think should have been on the card more. This could have been like a match going into WrestleMania on the Raw or, Raw after Mania.
And
it's no hate to New Day or to War Raiders. I just, especially with the War Raiders, I just don't think people are like as behind them as what you would want.
No, agree.
Both of these teams within the last year have had a lot of reinvigoration put into them. And I think, this definitely did not translate well in terms of,
There's two things
this match should have felt more important than what it was, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Definitely. There's two things that soured me on this match. And one of them was the fact that you've been trying to build the War Raiders up like this badass tag team. And then I know it's a sponsor, but then you had them come out in the most ridiculous looking gear in the world.
That was a point I was going to make.
We're trying to steer away from the Viking thing, right? And then you put them in. Yeah, right. But the next thing, and it leads perfectly into Courtney's point of the momentum, the steam of the initial turn of the New Day. All of the video package for this match was pretty much when they first turned heel. They had pretty much no clips from the rest of this story with the War Raiders. Nothing. It was all when they turned on Big E. And again, if you're not going to have Big E there to do something, why are you showing us this? Because you're showing us how much better we could have it.
I don't know. Yep. I don't know. But, the crowd definitely weren't like as excited as what you would expect for a match that's meant to have this many stakes going into it. It was kind of a foregone conclusion. Still, everyone performed well, though. But, not really much to write home about in terms of the match. I think I think for me, it was probably maybe my least favorite match of Mania, just because everything else kind of felt like there were stakes going into it, or something to lose, or something to gain going into it, or like a really important moment, like a really huge heel turn. Obviously, we'll get into that heel turn and the subsequent fallout from that. But I think everything else on Mania felt like it had a reason to be on the card, whereas this for me didn't feel as much as that way.
Yeah,
for real.
Yeah, I'm in a lot of the same agreement as you guys. I feel like this match literally stayed there just for the sponsorship. And that's what kind of really annoyed me about it, is the fact of, like, as Reese said, is we're trying to slowly move them away from the Vikings thing, but we're going to give them Clash of Clans and we're gonna make them look back in like medieval warrior gear, and I'm like, okay, but we've seen them in that. That's no different than we've seen them like all the time. And
Yeah.
I love, like, for me, attention to detail matters, and I loved New Day's gear. I don't know if you guys realized what was going on the back.
Yes, it was great.
I
Like
don't
I
really
love that.
see that, but
So the back of the jacket had bones on it, which was to call out Biggie's neck break. It's literally the neck vertebrae wrapped around. And on the back, it had 3 horses, and the third one had its neck crooked and was withering away.
It was really cool. And like, you know what? You know who pointed it out? Wade Barrett. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Wade Barrett. He was the commentator of the weekend, dude. Yeah. He was 100% the commentator of the weekend. I mean, obviously, like, I know you like watched it live, but for a lot of the weekend, I feel like Michael Cole and Pat McAfee weren't taking it a lot seriously, and Wade Barrett had to keep like
I do plan to, because today's a public holiday in New Zealand, so I do plan to go back and watch Mania today, like just little bits of it, just because I want to hear the commentary, because I think you don't realize how much as a fan commentary matters until you're watching something live and you're like, oh, I really would love to know like why this has happened in terms of storyline, or what move just took place, or like even just evoking that kind of emotion from the commentators. That makes a big difference to the overall storytelling within a match. So I really would have loved to hear that. But yeah, I definitely plan to go back and watch it just from the perspective of how it was shown on TV for you guys, because your experience of what you saw is different to, you know, the experience of those who got to witness it live. So yeah, I feel like that would be really cool to kind of go back and hear that. But yeah, I had heard that that Wade was like an MVP during commentary over both nights.
Yeah,
so I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I don't blame him. Wade's amazing. Love Wade.
I think the great thing about it as well, like just to add to that point, is Wade very much attention to detail and like everything. If it was something to call out on the gear, he called it out. If it was something to do with some of the movesets they were doing or the mindset they were currently in, he was calling it out perfectly. And like, yeah, for me, it just felt like Michael Cole and Pat McAfee were there to party, and Wade was there to be like, no, I'm taking this damn serious.
Yeah,
and like I like that. I like the whole chemistry of we're fans and we're gonna have fun with the rest of the guys. But like Wade,
time and place, I think.
Yeah. And Wade really set the tone for where if I needed to be back engaged with commentary, it was Wade doing it. Because there was a load of times Pat was just like saying random words to fill the space. And I'm like, Pat, I don't like, I get it. You're trying to be funny, but no.
Yeah, breathe.
I think with Pat McAfee sometimes, because of just how, and like you guys can step in and like add anything to this if you want, but for me personally, I feel like Pat McAfee is such an extroverted person that sometimes his sheer excitement and engagement towards what he's talking about or the product or something that's happening right in front of him, to me, it sometimes feels like a little bit of overcompensation. Like he's trying really hard to convey how excited he is, and sometimes it goes a little bit too far, whereas some people could just like respect who you are just based on just your excitement towards it. You don't need to fill a space with random wording to try and just make sure that people are still interested. People are going to be interested in what you have to say if they can tell that you're genuinely a fan of what is going on and you care about what's going on and the storyline that's being told. You don't need to be like overexcited about everything, because then that just plays up too much like you're acting. I don't know if that's something that you guys have clocked, but there's been a couple of things that I've noticed about him, and I know that, you know, he's genuinely excited to be there, and I'll never take that away from him. It's just sometimes it can be a little bit too much.
I think it's got a lot to do with the fact as well that Michael said on Impulsive that he doesn't like to know what's going to happen, so he doesn't get told what's happening next. So people who do get told, I suppose, have like their reactions prepared, or they know what they're going to say to feel like the silent moments, or like, you know, when to shut up. Pat obviously doesn't know what's coming up next, so he kind of just goes, I better keep talking or making noises like until something happens. Yeah, I think that's Pat's thing, and I love Pat. I like him as a commentator, but sometimes it's a bit, breathe, my guy, like calm down a little bit.
It's like take a breath. Like we're not gonna stop listening to you if you take like 20 seconds just to kind of like reset kind of mentally. But anyway, what match did you want to talk about next, Ross?
The next match I have for you guys, and this is probably gonna shake up things because, as I said, I was going from my least enjoyable to my most enjoyable. and this might upset a few of you guys. I'm going to ask, what did you guys think of Jey Uso versus Gunther?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Loved every single part of it. I'll let you do your thoughts first because you were there live. I want to know your thoughts because obviously the experience of experiencing that live, I'm very jealous of. So I want to hear it.
I quivered every time Gunther chopped Jay. I felt like I could feel it on my teeth. It really hurt. You could hear it. It was really loud. Very, very loud. For all of those that think that, Gunther's chops or anything is mic'd up, absolutely not. That Bianca whip, we're going to get into that. That was very loud in person as well. I enjoyed the match. I think it was really good. It was quite interesting, just the way that Jay was trying to get one up on Gunther, but Gunther kind of almost felt like he had an answer for everything ready to go until nearing the very end of the match. Very surprised that they made Gunther tap out though. I think they didn't want to give him a clean loss, which I can respect because that protects him moving forward. But obviously we saw what we saw on the Raw after WrestleMania and the reaction that he had in terms of everyone kind of calling him out for doing what he did. But I don't think there could have been any other way that you could have had Jay win that match clean because they want to keep Gunther protected and, a big name moving forward. I'm very happy that Jay won. The moment where Jimmy came out at the end and hugged him in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
I think that was a moment that a lot of people really enjoyed. I know I really loved it because I'm a massive fan of, seeing a lot of people, it takes a village to raise a person and it takes a lot of people being involved in somebody's life to make those big moments happen. So for his twin brother to be out there embracing him in the middle of 60-something thousand people was just something really amazing to witness in person, but also for you guys probably to see on TV as well. You would have felt that moment.
Definitely agree. Yeah.
One of the guys who I was with on the trip was pointing out the fact that, it felt like Jimmy was holding on to that title and staring at it for a little longer than he should. But I don't think it was that. I think it was
someone else in mind for that.
I think it was more just the excitement for that moment and just really wanting to take it all in and being my brother is now, the world heavyweight champion before giving it back. So I can see how both people can see it from different sides. It may be a storyline moving forward, but I think we were saying on the podcast a couple of weeks ago in conversations I had with people while I was on my trip was very much if WWE do not do this right now, they won't do it. And so I'm happy that they did it. I'm a little torn that it was Gunther that was the one that was, having to be the one that basically just, got the other end of the stick in that sense. But, if you were going to make Jey Uso as a singles champion, you need to do it now. Sorry if you can hear Mia in the background. She's just so happy to have me home.
She's just eating. That's what it
is. She's just meeping. Anyway, I don't know how you guys feel about the match, but I think, especially because it was the first match of Mania as well, it really set the tone and it went to show that WWE is not afraid to make big moments. Obviously, we know that. WWE, I'm still waiting to hear from you. And they're not afraid to change people as champions. We'll talk about it at the end of how many new champions we have coming out of Mania, but it just goes to show that, they listen to the fans and they're not afraid to do that. So I don't know what you guys think, but
so I'm in a lot of the same agreement as yourself. I really did enjoy the match. I think for me personally, just the way it finished, I didn't really like. I was more expecting Jay to get that actual correct win on his moveset, not I'm going to use Gunther's move and sleep him, because for me, as someone who is a submission specialist like Gunther, that should have been easy enough for him to get out of. I know he doesn't like having submissions put on him. That's been a thing where he lost to Ilya like that. But I don't know. It just, seeing it come from Jay, it kind of took me out of the moment because I'm like, well, Jay's not a submission guy. He doesn't put people in sleeper holds. He doesn't wrestle in that style, that format.
But so maybe it went to show that he was studying Gunther. He went deep into a moveset that he might not be comfortable with. It may have been that every single move that he did wasn't enough to take down Gunther. It's okay, how deep do I need to go into what I know wrestling wise to accomplish what I need to do?
Yeah, and I get that. It's just the ring storytelling didn't portray that as well as it could have. Like, if I saw Jay doing a slightly more aggressive style of chops, like how Gunther does his chops, and being like, okay, you chop this certain way, let me start hitting you that way. If Jay didn't rely on the super kick as much, maybe if he was like, right, let's start doing more clotheslines, let's start doing more like haymaker fist strikes like Gunther does. Kind of like fighting with his own style a bit more, especially because he said, like, I'm sorry for the man I'm gonna become. I didn't really see that side. I still saw a normal Jey Uso wrestle. That's kind of why it's a bit lower for me, is because that promo really made me think, damn, Gunther has got a run in for his money now, because Jay's going to go and be very much crash out Jay at the very beginning of this Bloodline storyline, where he was vicious with the strikes. His super kicks, like, were more calculated in where he was hitting you in the jaw. He was properly knocking you the hell out, and he was lashing out with many strikes and many punches. And I just felt like I didn't really see that. Like, I'm happy he won, and I'm glad Gunther lost the way that he did, because it still gives now like this beast is still defeatable, and like there is a way to stop him. But yeah, it's just one of those. I think that took me out of it. And if we're going to talk about anyone holding Jay's belt for too long, Sami Zayn on Raw. I saw you. Don't act like I didn't see you. And then I also watched you when Jay was standing on the pole celebrating that you were staring up at him. Don't act like I didn't notice that.
I noticed it. I was like, this is going on for too long for it to be comfortable. I was like thinking to myself when I was watching it, I'm like, I was like, something's going to happen. And you know how like when you're watching it on TV, like you're clocking how long something's going for, and you're like, okay.
Oh, dude, honestly, to the point.
In person, it felt like I was watching him stare at him for years. I was like, can you stop?
I was recording it. I was recording that shit just in case something happened, because I was like, Sammy, don't do it. Don't do it.
So this is the funniest thing. That's the funniest thing, because G was the one who made me clock it more, because I was like, oh no, he's just standing and celebrating. Then the camera panned, and then it showed Sammy staring, and G's exact words were, "Don't you dare, Sammy." And I looked with more like, oh, okay, let me analyze how he's. And I was like, oh god, there has that tension. Oh god, he actually could.
But
like the fear was sinking in.
Even if that's the way that they choose to go, I appreciate that they haven't done it straight after WrestleMania. They've gone to show that can be something that will happen at a different point in time. Yeah. And obviously when it does happen, people like us will be like, we saw that the Raw after WrestleMania, like we've been waiting for that for a long time. It's good to see that they're not willing to show their best cards early on. That's a feud we can have later on. Let's get Jay some other wins under his belt, and then we'll have the moment where Sammy turns. And there might be some more storyline layers to that, for that to then, when that moment happens, feel like a holy shit, I can't believe I saw that go down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of layers, I know your thoughts on the match, Ross, but like just to maybe add like a different like perspective on it. That from a storyline perspective, like this was a perfect match. Like this wasn't just a physical battle. This was like a mental battle. Like if you look at it from this way, Gunther was already defeated before he steps into that ring. Like
I agree on that.
Jey Uso already had him doubting himself before he stepped into that ring. And if you look at it from a kayfabe point of view, and I'll pose it to you this way, like, about the sleeper hold. Like he got super kicked like in the face like 3 times. He got speared, then he got splashed like 3 times. The last splash was on his back, so that probably winded him in kayfabe. So he had no air in his lungs. So as soon as he gets that sleeper hold on him, he maybe starts to panic with the lack of oxygen. Sure. He's like, oh shit. And obviously you've got like the whole Ilya Dragunov thing has happened before. Like, but in terms of the sleep hold, that was the perfect way to end this match. Like Gunther has been torturing him and Jimmy for weeks with that sleeper hold. So the fact that Jay wanted to end the story how it begun. Perfect. I loved every single bit of this match. I have seen a lot of people complaining online about how quick Gunther tapped out, and I'm like, I think he's just looking into it too much. I was like, this guy has lost once in a year. I think he's going to be okay.
But also
Like,
the fact that commentary keep referencing that he's been a champion for 80% of his career means that he probably will be a champion at some other point in time. He doesn't have to be a champion all the time for him to be great. Like, honestly, we can probably literally just talk about this right now, considering it's talking about Gunther not being a champion and where does he go next.
Yeah.
What he did with Pat McAfee on Raw after WrestleMania, it goes to show that there is more layer to this character of Gunther that we are going to start to see come out. And keep in mind, he's no longer a champion anymore. He's only ever really, in his mind, probably been defined as a champion. So for him to have this moment where he does not have the championship around him, he doesn't know who he is. Of course, he's going to start acting out. And we're probably going to say crashing out a lot. So take a shot every time you hear the word crash out. He's going to have that moment where it's an identity crisis for him. He's like, what am I without this title, you know? And then I think a lot of people are going to say this is a really good thing we're seeing for Gunther. Yeah, but then you're also the ones that were hating on Gunther for being I think a lot of this weekend and a lot of what I've seen online, I tried to kind of keep in my bubble because obviously I saw what I saw and I enjoyed what I saw. And it's not to say I don't like other people's opinions, but I don't want their hypercriticism to affect how I felt about what I saw and what I experienced. I know that like people have their feelings and that's totally fine, but I've been saying this a lot when I've been talking to people about it. And like, this is a direct quote from like Triple H in terms of like how he feels about creative. And I think I said this to you guys, like if you are actively going out of your way to find something to criticize about anything, of course you're going to find it because you're going out of your way to criticize it, right? You know, like us, you know, for content creators, we can be a bit hypercritical on things, but that's how we talk about what we see and how things can be improved, and that's fine. But if you're just sitting back and you're just enjoying the product for what is being presented to you and you're not trying to find flaws in it, you're going to enjoy it more. Yeah. And I think Jay's win, if we've stopped being so hypercritical on it, I think we're going to enjoy it for what it is in like 5 years down the line. And with Gunther moving forward as well, too, I think we're going to really enjoy the fruits of the labor that we're seeing from that.
Yeah.
Like, it just goes to a lot of these people who criticize are now excited. It's just, people are so flip-floppy, and I'm just like, pick a side.
It is a different pacing character for him, though, because like, you got to look at it from the perspective of this is probably the first time he's ever doubted himself.
Exactly.
And that's why he's so insecure. Like when Pat McAfee like yeets and Michael Cole was saying you tapped out and all that, that's when he snapped. So I think it's interesting to watch.
Oh, definitely. But as I said, the only criticism I had is the in-ring storytelling didn't like portray that level of like, damn, Jay's actually just tapped out Gunther. Like, as you said, he got hit on the back, that maybe winded him. I was like, yeah, but it's Gunther. Gunther's took worse like hits on his back. It just didn't seem the same way to me. But like, as I said, like, I'm not trying to be that critical in the sense of I didn't enjoy it. I still enjoyed the match. I'm happy with both win and loss in that story, and I'm excited to see where the next story progression goes. I just wish the match was a little bit longer and there was a bit more extra moves and a bit more flair to it that was added.
Yeah,
especially
that's fine.
Saying
people being hypercritical in general, not saying like you specifically.
Oh yeah. No, I gathered that. I don't worry, it's not a personal attack at me. I know.
If it was, I'd be like, wait, Ross, I'm going to call you out on something for a second, and then
exactly. You call me.
I'm very direct. So I'm not going to just like.
Screw you, Ross. Your opinion.
Hey, be nice. Be nice.
Right, now we're now gonna go to my next match. Tiffany versus Charlotte.
Loved the entrance for Tiffany. I'm just gonna fucking say that. I didn't clock what it was until I went back because I couldn't see it. Couldn't see her entrance from where I was. And then I went back and watched it and I was like, I get it. Because on the stage, they were having a whole bunch of different like things being played on them, and then I saw a dream house and I was like, is this Barbie inspired? And then when I went back and saw the clip online, I was like, holy shit, she's come out in like a Barbie box. Really cool. I was like, that's so cool, because I think she'd said on the post show that, you know, that was an idea that she had for NXT and it couldn't happen. And then I think Triple H came to her with the idea because obviously like it had been passed through the lines of communication of like Tiffany wants to do this at some point in time. And when I shouldn't say Hunter, he's not my friend like that. When Triple H was like, do you want to do it? She was like, absolutely. Like, I loved that for her. Very much plays into like that buff Barbie kind of style that she, you know, likes to portray out there. Was quite cool. I feel like Charlotte's had better entrances. Like,
Yeah.
the helicopter one at 35 was pretty cool. The one that's, I'm going to get
True.
this right. I'm going to get
True.
this. No. Okay, I'm not going to get this right. I still don't know where the fuck the
It's that
poster is.
side. It's that side.
Bro, it's too hard for me to tell where it is. Leave me alone.
Where is that?
I feel like she has had better entrances. I liked it, but there's some people in the crowd that were like, Charlotte's gear feels like a Temu ripoff version of Tiffany.
Well, yeah, that was one of the things.
I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, that was one of the things G instantly went. She literally watching it went, why are they both wearing pink? Who fucking greenlit that?
Yeah.
Charlotte
There's been
greenlit
multiple
it.
moments during this entire feud. I said to you guys with like the face-to-face where they were both wearing almost the exact same black outfit. Who, like, I don't know whether or not this was intentional again or if it was coincidental, but I have
a feeling it's intentional on someone's behalf in particular.
But,
yeah,
yeah.
100%.
I don't have much to say on the match in terms of I was just kind of watching it for what it was, but I would love to hear what you guys thought about it.
Yeah, what I was gonna say, for me, Tiffany showed the fuck up and showed out. She made Charlotte look sloppy in that ring in comparison, in my eyes. Like, Tiffany sold the crap out of all of her moves. She literally looked like she had genuinely a mouth busted, like either a split lip or she's damaged or chipped a tooth. The mark on the forehead as well.
Charlotte's boot, though.
Yeah, something like that. The mark on her forehead as well, like she got a welt right near the top of her head. She went all out. She was like, right, if I'm going to take fucking bumps, I'm going to make sure I show the bumps. And they had really cool spots. Once again, do I feel like Charlotte was sandbagging at certain points and being very, like, lazy with some of the lifts and stuff? Definitely. And one part of the match felt really, really scrappy, and I was a bit worried, especially when you saw Tiffy just, like, push her the heck out the way, like, nah, and genuinely slapped her. I was like, was that a receipt that we're seeing, like, live in a match? But either way, like, I think the match was really good. Tiffy really sold on making it a lot better, and the right person won in my eyes. This never needed to go to Charlotte. This definitely needed to stay with Tiffany, and I hope now that builds Tiffany on the upper echelon of the card. Like, more interesting people are now going to come up to challenge Tiffany, because having a big name like Charlotte under your belt that you've beaten now is going to mean more.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just upsetting about how the build up for this went. And I know that, like, we can talk about the end product and everything, and that's absolutely fine. But I know that we have expressed a lot on this, and I know that Reese has expressed a lot on this as well too, because, like, we've been on the podcast talking about it. I'm always looking for moments where people are talking about something really in depth, and I think Reese has spoken about this a lot. So feel free to chime in whenever you want, Reese. But I think for myself, the build-up going into this match definitely, whilst we got to WrestleMania and we were really excited for this match, it felt like there could have been things that were done differently going into this build-up for it to not have felt as underhanded as it did, and for people to actually genuinely want to see this, because the only reason people wanted to see this in my eyes was because of the parking lot brawl that they had.
Yeah.
A lot of other moments before that very much felt like it was a veteran trying to put down a talent who was trying to work their way up, and has done a lot within the time that Charlotte has been gone, and was trying to up her stock, but somebody was trying to stop that from happening. Whether it was, I know I keep saying it, whether it was intentional or not, I can't speak on things because I'm not the person who's making those decisions, but whether or not she's intentionally decided that she's going to stifle Tiffany Stratton's star power and her momentum, it just, for me, that was one thing going into this match that really left a sour taste in my mouth, is this could have been a build-up where both parties were wanting to do everything they could to make this better, but it just felt like somebody was going in there with the script and was told what to do and was trying to stick to what they'd been asked for, that being Tiffany Stratton, and another person was going in with a different idea of, this is what I'm going to do, and I don't care what this person wants to do, I'm going to do what I want to do to make this better in my eyes. But in terms, completely flipped it on its head, that being Charlotte Flair. And I go back to the conversation that we've had multiple times where Tiffany has said, like Charlotte was her dream opponent, and she got a win over Charlotte at WrestleMania, and that's amazing to say that you have that under your belt. She's beaten 2 out of 4 of the horsewomen now in this point, but it really upsets me that like this could have been a straightforward build going into a feud going into WrestleMania, and they could have done so much more with it if I think both people were willing to cooperate. And I think that's the thing that really bugs me coming out of WrestleMania is like this isn't the first time that somebody hasn't been willing to cooperate with making this feud pretty much just straightforward and as easy as it could have been. Like it just had so much more complexity and so much more difficulty to it and so much more backstage like conversations coming out of it of this person's not being professional and everything. It just like I understand if you have a different vision for what you want to do, and that's fine, but you don't need to go ahead and try and underhand somebody else who, within the time that you've been gone from injury, has gone from being called up from NXT before the draft happened to getting incredibly over at Elimination Chamber to then winning Money in the Bank to then being champion, all in the space and time that you've been gone. And you're just, and I think you've said this a lot, Reese, you're just too afraid that your spot is going to be taken. There will always be a place for you. You don't have to, and this goes for everything. There is always going to be a space for you. You do not have to push other people down and step over other people to get to your spot. People will remember you as who you are. People will never forget Charlotte Flair. But what they won't forget is the way that she has tried to feel like she has had to step over other talent to get back to the top. You don't have to do that. People know how great you are. They know your accolades. They know your your pedigree. They know where you come from. You do not have to step over other people to get what you want. Don't they say high tides raise all ships? Why don't we just? We're talking about women supporting women here. There's no point pushing somebody down for you to look better. You just look worse.
I'll put it to you this way: you've got wrestlers that are in the industry from different generations who have been accused of doing the same thing that Charlotte's been accused of. And these people have provided a lot to the industry at the time that they were around. But a lot of them are remembered for stepping over talent. John Cena did it. I mean, outside of the ring, you say what you want about Hulk Hogan, but at the time he was the biggest thing in wrestling. But no one talks about that anymore. People talk about how that doesn't work for me, brother, because he would never put over anyone else. But at the time, people... you remember him. It happened a lot, and it's happened a lot. And Charlotte has kind of taken up that moniker in the women's division at the moment, and it's hard to watch because you're right. She is Charlotte Flair, and she is one of the best of this generation in the ring. She is one of the best. Apart from this storyline that we've seen, one of the best promos, in my opinion, in the company when she's a heel. I think she works really well. I don't like a character where she always has to go for the championship, but aside from that, I think she's a great worker. I said this before WrestleMania, and I'll stand by it now. The build up to this just made me not want to see this match. Maybe I watched that match through those glasses because while I was watching it, I felt myself physically not wanting to watch it. I didn't care. Aside from the right decision being made in terms of Charlotte Flair, taking the L to put over Tiffany, I thought this match was quite clunky. If you could hear, you probably heard it a little bit better because there was no commentary caught. The fact that Charlotte was shouting at Tiffany all the way through it. Usually I would take that as it's a heel being a heel, but the stuff that we know what's happened backstage and how she's presented herself and
area grievances by the sound of it. So
it sounds like she was kind of just baiting her all the way through the match. She was slapping her, going show me what you've got and all.
That's what I'm saying. That is why I think I saw Tiffany hit a receipt of actually slapped her.
I think going back to my point that I made, just a little bit of extra context based on what you've just said, Reese. This kind of attitude that we're getting from a Charlotte Flair. If this was maybe 20 years ago when the likes of Lita and Trish Stratus and Victoria and all those women, if they were still wrestling, that kind of attitude of I'm going to step over everybody to get to where I want, that would have been not more suitable. But if you had someone who had that kind of mentality 25 years ago, that would have been within the era of wrestling that they were in, right? This generation of women's wrestlers is all about, you know, the evolution. We all can get greater things coming out of women's wrestling if we all work together to make it happen. You know, we saw the women's evolution and revolution before our eyes. That was a team effort. For women's wrestling to become better and greater than what they found it as, if they're wanting to leave it in a better state, it needs to be a team effort to make these moments mean something. And it needs to be a team effort to continue to elevate the women's division. And if we're having somebody on this team who's realistically not looking out for the betterment of everybody, you can say that all wrestlers look out for themselves, but there are wrestlers who care about the product and care about people looking better and are willing to put people over. If we've got somebody like, I'm not going to say the name, I'm just going to say like CF. If we've got someone like CF who's not willing to continue to help out in that way, it's just like having a flat tire on a car. You're not going to get anywhere without having all 4 tires working. And if that person's not actively helping, it doesn't make people want to see the women's division. And going into that match, like you said, Reese, you know, you didn't really want to see that. And that was potentially because of a lot of what we'd seen coming out of this person in the build-up. I don't know if you guys share that same sentiment, but for me,
that was a dream match for me as well. I mean,
better. And if you've got someone who doesn't want to help, then of course it's not going to continue to be elevated as on the grandest stage of them all.
That was a dream match for me. I mean, I spent the better part of 2 years reviewing NXT every single week for this channel, and most weeks I said Tiffany Stratton's amazing. I could totally see Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton being a main event at WrestleMania one day. And I think, listen, we're going to have egos in wrestling. That is what it is. Like competition, like it's going to create egos. At the end of the day, everyone wants to be at the top of the ladder. But at the same time, you've got a situation there where these people who have egos understand that you make more money working together and feeding into that rivalry inside the ring than being unprofessional on the outside of the ring. Look at CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Look at CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. They're not fond of each other, okay? But they understand that them two can create a great storyline, can feed into that, give the audience a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, but stay professional.
Yeah.
Like we've all got the same goal. We're all trying to push the same cart up the mountain, okay? Yeah. Like it's one of those things where, like you say, all tires need to be inflated and working properly. Like pushing forward the women's, not just a women's revolution, but wrestling. Yeah. Like Charlotte Flair is a veteran now backstage. She's not some, hiding behind her dad, first day on the job, like rookie from NXT anymore. She's Charlotte Flair, 14-time women's world champion. Like she is a leader. She is like this generation's Natalia in that locker room. She should be presenting herself a little bit more better. I understand that you have worked very hard to get to where you are, but because you've put that work in to get to where you are not gonna lose any kind of standing what you think you have. Like it doesn't work like that in wrestling. Like I'm not being funny.
An example after you finish that point of somebody who can do this, but if you just
I literally was going to segue into the next match I was going to talk about anyway. If we're going to talk about a veteran that can do the work, and it is also a women's match, Naomi versus Jade Cargill is next. And honestly, Naomi put over as much as this feud, made this feud work, took every bit of story she needed for it, and didn't waver, didn't change, still made Jade look good in the match as well. Honestly, one of the better Jade matches I've seen. It's why it's quite hot on my
AEW catalog as well.
Yeah.
Do you mean like of all time or like just WWE?
Yeah, of all time. No, genuinely of all time. I genuinely feel like Jade held a lot more of her own. Yes, Naomi came across very much the heavier hitter of that match in my eyes. But I still think Jade held very strong. I think it worked in their favor. I don't agree with the winner. I genuinely think Naomi should have won this, and we continue the storyline, hopefully, to make it more matches. I'd love them to have like a free match scenario and it get more and more intense, like we did with Punk and Drew. But yeah, in this moment, I think Naomi should have kind of got the one. It should have kind of very much gone to Naomi of like a look, here you go. This is what we're going to do. But then I also understand why they didn't do that, because this is already becoming very much a heel mania, and we'll get into that for the rest of the card. So having another heel win, I understand why they didn't do that.
I have no notes about this match. Like literally, I think it served its purpose. The only thing I would change is the winner, like you said. But in terms of Naomi, I think she made Jade look $1 million, which is what you're supposed to be doing with your opponent. I think Jade, for what it's worth, looked great. I thought the entrance was a bit odd, but apart from that, like she did well. She was presented really cool. She looked really cool. I hope we get more matches, like Ross just said, out of this. I think it deserves maybe like a trio of matches. I would like Bianca Belair to get involved at some point. I think we need that payoff of her like getting it like, in some way or another, giving her 2 cents about what's going on at the moment between Jade and Naomi. But yeah, I have no notes about this match. I really enjoyed it.
You guys also haven't even spoken about how Naomi's got like a brand new entrance music as well.
Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was really cool.
But that's probably decent,
I think it just I think anything related to the Glow, now that we've got this new invigoration of Naomi, I feel like it doesn't work for me. But no, I really enjoyed the presentation of how she came out in terms of her entrance. I thought it was really cool. I feel like, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it, I feel like this is exactly who Naomi should have been the whole time.
Yeah.
I love this version of Naomi. That's not to say I don't like the other versions of Naomi, because I just love Naomi, point blank, period. But I think this version of Naomi is my favorite.
Yes.
You can tell she's really invested in what she's doing. She's got a lot of care in what she's doing. She's putting a lot of thought into everything that's going on. Obviously, Ross has mentioned the significance and symbolism of a lot of the razor blades and stuff that she's been using in her presentation of her character. It just goes to show that she really cares about what she's doing. And I'm really excited to see where she goes. Do I want to see a best of 3? Absolutely. I would have loved to see Naomi be the one to take the first win, but I understand why they didn't have that, because obviously, as Ross has said, when you look back at WrestleMania, there were a lot of heels that did win matches. So
I think it's nice to see that she's been allowed to explore like a bit of a darker side of her character. Maybe, take some of the ideas that she's had over the years of her being a babyface, and implement it into this new role that we're going to be seeing. I love it.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say. She's been a veteran for so long of being a babyface. The fact of you could tell she's so happy to give being a heel a go that she is fully committed to this. Well, I love that.
First time we've seen her as a heel, but we know that she's got it.
But that's like for a lot of the newer audience, people are not going to know that Naomi was a heel 8-9 years ago in the past. It's like for the longest time from 2013 upwards, everyone knew her as the Glow. That was just her. So to now have this kind of police caution tape inspired gear and saying you were cautioned, I'm coming for you. I'm fully invested in this Naomi storyline, and that's why it's so high up for me, because the match delivered, the story delivered, both the girls looked good in the ring. Naomi, as the veteran, made the newer talent be put over, which is the right way to do these things. So yeah, for me, there's not much else I can really add to that other than I think it was an outstanding one. And we are nearly done with night 1. We have 2 matches that were on my pinnacle peak. Obviously, I'm guessing you guys can work out what my number 1 was, but number 2 is, you know what I mean? All gas, no breaks with it.
For some reason, I forgot the last 2 matches that took place on the card.
It's all good. Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. Oh man, Fatu, you know how to put on a show on such a big main event, and it was just sick. I loved all the spots. I loved the fact LA Knight was trying to use a very unique style of doing the BFT.
That BFT out of nowhere, dude, was unbelievable. Literally, I don't even know how he pulled that off.
And the fact of Jacob actually still sold being dazed, but then went, nah, I'm Samoan. Fuck that. I was this is sick. this.
I don't know how he pulled that off from the angle that he came out. I don't understand how that.
Fatu was like midway here, so it was very much like LA Knight grabbed it in kind of the RKO position, then changed his hands to land the BFT, and I was like, you know what? I that was incredible. I want more of that. Like,
it was ace. It was so ace. I loved it.
Like,
it was really good.
I had no complaints that whole match. Like, Fatu's walkout made him feel like he is definitely like this powerhouse heel. I'm ready to kick ass. LA Knights was still really cool. Very much still hit the same. LA Knight playing to the crowd.
Love the car. The car was dope.
Yeah, having the card like you would. That was really cool. Also, I just find it really funny. Extra bonus notes. I don't know if you guys know, there's this one particular girl on TikTok that is literally obsessed with LA Knight.
Yeah, I know.
Like, she has saw LA Knight like multiple times, has done like all these meet and greets and stuff.
Yeah,
there is a video circulating now as LA Knight dropped the belt. She crashes out and literally goes, "This is the worst company. I hate this." So
she had her own pipe bomb promo. It was actually really funny.
Yeah, and then other people behind her go, "Fatu, Fatu," and she just screams, "Don't talk to me right now." And it just got me laughing.
Talk about maximizing your minutes, I say. Honestly.
She was like, "This has to be the worst company ever," and then there's me.
It's
just
amazing that like we got so many great moments coming out of WrestleMania. You know, we had that, and then I don't know if you guys follow Renee, but there's like a video of her like crying because obviously Cody lost, and there's another video of somebody else crying, which we'll get into at some point. But fuck, man, WWE just be evoking emotion from people. It's actually so funny.
Who'd that be? Who'd be crying?
I don't know, but people thought it was Renee. Renee's had to set the record straight multiple times, and it wasn't her who was crying about it.
Really?
Yeah, people thought it was her. And people thought it was the LA Knight girl as well, too. And, like, people in the comment sections have been like, no, it's... And then they're, like, tagged me in it. They're like, no, it's actually this person here.
It's this girl. Like,
it's this one. Is this fucking crybaby?
Put some respect on my name.
Put the respect on my name.
I'm now going to be forever known as the Becky Lynch crybaby, and I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, that's top tier. That's top tier.
Valid.
Yeah, valid. Absolutely valid. So let's get into it. The greatest, and I am sorry, I have to now state this. For me, greatest heel turn in wrestling history.
Can we also just talk about the hype package that played for CM Punk before he came out?
No,
please, because I honestly, as I was watching that, I thought they were going to transition into him coming out to this fire. But they obviously had living color at the front whilst the hype package was happening. And I thought to myself, I'm like, there is no fucking way they're going to have him like transition out to this like huge guitar riff. And then like, because the entire crowd during the hype package was singing this fire as well as myself.
Yeah. Me, G, and Keaton in sync. As soon as it started playing, we all were singing it, and we look collectively. We're all just like, "Yes, let's go."
A lot of people were like, "Why did he get that hype package?" Blah blah. It's his first main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah, what are you talking about, dude?
He deserved every bit of what he got with the Mania. Like the band playing for him, the hype package. That's how
dirty hoodie.
Like
the dirty, filthy hoodie that he was wearing.
The same ring gear that he wore, it was very similar to what he'd worn when he was originally a Paul Heyman guy. He was just coming out in cosplay. I loved to see it. Yeah. Loved to see it. And then Seth Rollins came out, and honestly, I was trying to talk about this with the people that I was with, but I quickly realized that a lot of people aren't as invested in the details like we are, Ross.
Like so we are.
Because when it all came out and it all happened, obviously he came out in the whole fully black, coat with the flamethrower. Then it went quiet and he came back out in white. I felt like the man had been reborn, giving me very much Monday Night Messiah in terms of.
Oh yeah, literally.
I was like, literally, I saw him and I was like, oh my goodness, he's like come out like my king is like looking fantastic. And then when he like got dressed again, I was like, this man has two looks. And I was like losing my mind. I thought it was so good. Just the way it. Oh, I'm so.
I was gonna say, like, you gave a man a flamethrower and some pyro and some light work, and
it got real hot in that stadium. quick, and I wasn't talking about the fact that I was there. It was actually you could physically feel the warmth from the flame, flamethrower. It was like,
and I was gonna
insane.
say, like, arguably one of the strongest opening like entrances of Mania was that. Even though the flamethrower and stuff was simple, the actual turning around, doing the flamethrower as the flame on the like Titantron hit was just perfect on beat to the music. Also, to add to the details, him being in full white made me think he was calling himself Mr. Mania and was dressing himself like Shawn Michaels. That's how I also took it. Because it was
like heaven and hell, like they was there to save. Yeah, he was a savior.
Yeah. And how and this was what I was gonna say as well. How he came out with the look, the whole white down and gown style was very reminiscent of Shawn Michaels' most famous gear when he flew down for a Mania. So that's where I was like, oh, okay, this is very interesting. Because
a lot of people have labeled Seth Rollins as like this generation's Mr. WrestleMania. So
yeah, exactly, and that's where I got that idea when he did that. It very much came across as he's the Mania guy. I also thought Roman's was still pretty cool, still very much normal Roman. But I don't
lie. Look at my guy Roman Reigns in the white shoes, baby.
Yeah, I was gonna say the little sort of white shoes, but also the fucking monitors of all the like bloodline family behind him was such a nice added detail.
Can I just say those? Okay, so those I don't even know what you want to call them. The Trons. They had some facing you this way and some facing you along the side, right? From where I was standing, the ones that were facing me were all bloodline members. They had circulated through, and the ones that had gone the other side, so facing that way of the people in the higher seats, were all pictures of Roman. So they had pictures of Roman as well as bloodline members in the middle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what
it's kind of hard to explain, but when you go back and see it after I say it, you'll see that there's different Trons from different angles. So the ones that were facing the ring was all bloodline members, and then the ones that were along the sides were all like pictures of Roman. And when I clocked that, I was like, that's actually really sick.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Yeah.
What do we think of the actual match, like in general? Like, do we like the performances?
Saved night one for me. I think that was the match to carry night one. I think start to finish, all good moves, all good spots. I had no real fault with it. Punk did what Punk needed to do. Roman did what he needed to do. And Seth, right at the end, doing what he did. I loved it. And thank you, Paul Heyman, once again. You do what you always do for me. Yeah. Give me the perfect storytelling wrestling that I love. And it was fucking stellar. The fact of like the hit on Punk and just you made me do this. You made me do this. And he looks like he's crying. But did you guys notice the facial difference when he did it to Roman? I don't know if you guys really. That was pure demon hatred. So he is like, no, you were fucking toxic and made me keep to you. Like, he was done with fucking Roman when he did that. He hated him. Whereas Punk, it was like, he felt like he was still going to cry about it because that was still his friend that got caught in the collateral damage of what needed to be done.
It was also funny because I sent you guys a video of Roman when CM Punk was coming out. Where I was standing, I zoomed in and you can literally see Roman having like a full-blown identity crisis. I think I sent it to you guys in the group.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
You see them on TV and you're like, damn, that must be really hard for him to be going through. When you get to see that in person, it's actually like, I could see his like forehead muscle fibers twitching. Like I could literally see this man was about to lose his mind. I also just want to quickly say, in terms of this match, for me, going into it, I knew this was going to be my match of the night. Going out of it, I'm so glad that I felt that way because, and I'll give a quick shout out to one of the guys that I was on this trip with, Lockie McIntyre, fantastic guy. If you guys want to go follow him, absolutely go do it. He makes a lot of cool like commentary, comedic content. Anyway, so when I actually met him the morning of WrestleMania because he flew in like the day after I did. And we were going through while we were at breakfast, we were going through all of the matches that were taking place. And he came up with this really cool idea that he thought about and he would have loved to see happen if it did. So all three guys are like lying in the ring, and Paul Heyman grabs the chair from underneath the ring apron. And everyone thinks that, like, they're all down. Paul Heyman slides the chair in, and it goes past CM Punk and Roman, who are here. They both try and grab it. Seth Rollins just stops it with his foot.
I thought he was going to do that.
I thought he was going to do that too. We were waiting for that, but what we got was so much better than what we thought.
I was going to say, I love the fact of when we did the Thursday predictions, I mentioned Paul Heyman and a chair was going to change everything. And like, I didn't go into full details of like, this is how he's going to hit everyone or anything like that. I just said Paul Heyman and a chair is going to be symbolic. And
a chair is Paul Heyman's preferred weapon of choice. We know that.
Well, not even just that.
It's easy to hit. It's easy to toss. It's easy to hide. It's just a pretty versatile.
Like, for me, it wasn't even just that, though. It's the way he did look, my tribal chief, the shield, it's there. It's perfectly there. It's yours.
I love how he was shouting at him. It was so funny. It's yours, my tribal chief.
It's like it's like, you manipulative bastard, because we knew exactly where that was going.
Coming. And it's not Jade Cargill.
I fucking love that meme with the honey, you got a big storm coming. I know exactly the one you were on about there. Yeah. But no, honestly, I think that was the best part of night one for me, was the fact of just Paul Heyman doing what Paul Heyman does best. Like, I can't even, like, I'm still to this day, I'm sat here, especially because we'll quickly cover some of the Raw stuff we need to talk about.
Nah, man, I felt genuinely fucking wounded by it. All I did was put that video up on TikTok of Thingy just like falling back like that from Django. And then
No.
Jeez.
I felt like being wounded.
No, it was so, honestly, like, that was, I was like, I need my boy to win. I was like, I need my king to come out of WrestleMania looking strong. And when I left, it was what a glorious time to be leaving a stadium where people are upset about CM Punk winning, even though I love CM Punk, and people crying about Roman losing. It's a great time to be a Seth Rollins girlie. I'm telling you that much. We've been through the trenches with this guy. People have hated him. People have loved him. People have hated him again. People have loved him. It just feels so good to be like, that song where it's like, it feels so good to be a gangster? That's how I feel. I'm like, Seth Rollins girlies unite, because just fantastic.
So that makes me laugh as well, because G made a TikTok being like, right, so this is for the wrestling girlies, like, are you a Seth, a Punk, or a Roman girlie? And there's me just commenting, nah, I'm a Paul Heyman guy. And I weren't wrong.
He's like the integral part of every single one of those careers. I mean, you had Roman Reigns there, and I thought they had some great moments, like the shout outs to the old Shield bit. Like, I knew they were going to try and go for the Shield power bomb. I had a feeling that was going to be a moment. And then obviously Roman just ends up throwing them both through the table himself. Them tables, by the way, looked really cool, like them breaking apart. I love the new tables. And has he been back to Turkey lately? Because those teeth are white as hell, dude. Jesus Christ. My God. Like,
Man's got fantastic teeth.
Every single time he got angry and started to go like, I had to go like, Jesus.
You shiny, bro. You shiny.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. Like someone turning a torch on him in my face. But I love that. I loved everyone just played the role really well. I think Roman Reigns, like, just berating Paul Heyman all the way through the match was like really funny. Like, he was just shouting at him all the way through the match. Obviously, like, him cheering on CM Punk, and then just the end. And I love the bit where obviously the audience has known what's just happened, but Seth sees it on the Titantron because he's looking the other way. Yeah. And he's like, ha. And I'm like, you bastard. You absolute bastard. That's my tribal chief, goddammit.
Yeah, I think, like, for me, coming out of this, obviously with the fallout of everything that went down with Paul Heyman, all three of these men, I think, you think about CM Punk and everything that Paul Heyman had done, that's the past. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman's relationship, that was the present. That's what we got to see, the right here, right now, coming out of it with the Seth Rollins. It's the past, present, and the future. Let's just talk about Raw after WrestleMania and talk about what we saw, because, seeing them come out at the end, and then obviously CM Punk coming out, and then Roman coming out, obviously we got to see there's still some tension and stuff coming out of WrestleMania. But fuck, man, when that hooded figure came out, and I saw them running the ropes, I looked at the people I was with. I'm like, that's fucking Braun Breaker. I'm calling it right now. Because I was like, I don't know, we'd been saying this for a very long time. I was like, I would love to see Braun Breaker be the next Paul Heyman guy. And then literally hits him with a spear, unhoods, and I fucking lost my shit. I have the original video of me just absolutely screaming from Raw after WrestleMania. Talk about us getting an Evolution 2.0. That was fucking insane. And that's
through the barricade. Through the barricade. Oh, yeah. Wow, dude. Yeah, I slowed it down for video, to go in slow motion. He gets some air on that spear as he dives at him. It's unbelievable.
Insane. But Seth Rollins doesn't need to necessarily have a Paul Heyman guy to get himself over. But if you think about the effect that Paul Heyman has had on the career of CM Punk and Roman Reigns, this is not only going to elevate Seth Rollins to another fucking stratosphere. Yes, Trish Stratus, Seth Rollins will be joining you up there. But this is going to do so fucking much for Braun now, because if we're talking about night 2, and we'll get into it when we talk about the IC title match, I was thinking to myself, well, what are they going to do with Braun now? Are they going to move him up to the main event scene? What are they going to do? Because people were really concerned about, who's lost, he's going to lose all his momentum and everything.
Yeah.
Not after what we saw on Monday.
Yeah.
Because he's in the same conversations as a CM Punk, as a Roman Reigns, as a Seth Rollins, he's in this faction now with him and Paul Heyman. Braun Breaker's a main event guy just by association.
I didn't know they were going to do it that early, to be honest with you. But I knew once he lost the IC title, they were going to put him up to the main event. I was there's only one way forward for Braun, and that is up. There's no doubt. You've got a guy there who is so loved by the fans. No matter what he is, if he's a heel, he's a babyface. He's clearly impressed a lot of people backstage. He's so athletic for his size. He's a total package, and I'm not talking about Lex Luger. He's really, really good, and he's just absolutely on every single level you could think of impressive. And you've got Paul Heyman there to tutor him, to nurture him. And just him stood next to Seth Rollins elevates his status immediately.
I want to just say one thing before we move off of this and into night 2. One thing that really excites me about this is this looks like we're getting the formation of Evolution 2.0.
Yeah.
The thing that really excites me about this is who is in charge of creative right now.
Triple H, yeah.
One of the members of Evolution. So the fact that turned out to be what it was when Triple H was now in charge, I've got really high hopes for how this faction is going to go down. Whether they add more members, I'm just really excited to see the way that it's not even WWE has labeled this as, Evolution 2.0. It's the fans that are seeing the comparison. People are like, who's going to be the next Batista joining? Who's going to do this? It's just I'm really excited. And because it's Triple H who's in charge, he obviously knows how successful Evolution was back in the day. And he does know how to make a successful faction. I'm really hoping that we get to see something similar in terms of that with this. But just all in all, this is going to help Braun so much. Not that Braun needs it, but putting him in those conversations with Seth Rollins as a mentor figure in a faction, and with the Paul Heymans of the world, that's going to do so much for this guy. I'm so excited
talk about
to see where he is in
storytelling.
1 year from now. I'm so excited to see where he is going to be this time next year.
You talk about long-term storytelling as well. This goes all the way back to NXT as well, where Paul Heyman was the future is Braun Breaker. He told us this. He told us this a year and a half ago.
And it wasn't a prediction. It was a spoiler.
You stole it from me. I was going to fucking bring that up, that I sent a TikTok to you guys of that actual scene. And I was
no, dude, I remember it. Trust me. I remember it. I fucking reviewed that episode. I was like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!"
The episode where they had loaded up the card with Cena and
So it was
ironically enough, Braun versus Seth.
Yeah, I was going to say it was Braun
for the world title.
Yeah. That's true. Anyway,
so I think something.
Shall we move on to night 2?
Yeah, so night 2, I'm going to open with a quick, easy fire one. This is either a yay or nay, of if you thought it was good or not. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul.
It left a lot to be desired.
Yeah,
I think.
I felt
I
that.
think it had a lot more implications to what we're probably going to be seeing in the future. This match, in terms of
Yes.
the guy that wasn't even in the fucking match.
Oh, okay, yeah. If we're going to fucking talk about it, the real shit, the best thing that came out of this whole damn match is Killer Cross is fucking back. Let's go. I'm
Dude,
so
my guy
happy.
on Raw pulling out the Thanos line, and he was pretty much
Yeah.
like, fine, I'll do it myself. I was like, let's go. Yo, you talk about that faction with Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins, dude. I mentioned Karrion Kross, and now if it is anyone else in that faction, I will be disappointed, I'm not going to lie, because he's got the same message as Seth. He's got the same message as Seth. He wants the same as Seth. I can picture him in that faction. He's great at everything that them two are. He's good in the ring and he's good on the microphone. And yeah, what else can you say about Karrion Kross? It's about time this man is pushed up the main roster.
Goosebumps in that pipe bomb-esque promo.
Yeah.
He did. And the way at the ending of that, like, I know that they probably would have had a lot of stuff approved, but I watched it the first time, and I've watched it a couple of times. So I watched it the first time all the way through just to listen to what was said. Second time I watched it, I was just keeping my eye on Karrion Kross. And the third time I watched it, I was watching Scarlett.
Yeah.
At the end of that, when he said that thing about the man with the suit and the tie and the truck, and then he said what he said, I was watching Scarlett's face, and whether or not she was playing it up as that she didn't know what was said, she looked genuinely concerned with that last line.
Oh, no, she was.
Because it was like, you never know if something is, scripted or if it's off.
It's clear that it wasn't. Nothing was affected by it though, because like I said, he was on Raw the next night, which was good. I did see a lot of people saying, "Oh, it was a shoot, it was a shoot, it was a shoot," and I was like, "No, listen to what he's saying and how he's saying it, dude. Like it's obvious, it's a promo, and it's pretty much what he's been saying over the past couple of months, but just a little bit more aggressively."
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm really disappointed he wasn't a part of Mania in a bigger sense. He's from Las Vegas, not just saying that because of
No,
we should have. Yeah.
I think he should have won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, to be honest.
I was pissed off when I saw he'd been taken out. Like, I get they want to build up Carmelo Hayes. That's fine by me. You do that.
Yeah,
but like,
give him something.
You can't sit there.
You guys are just. Do you know what's even funnier? You guys are adding to his promo. Listen to what you're saying, and he said this in the promo. The fans organically wanted him to fight Randy. They wanted him to win the Andre Giant. You are those fans. You are giving him what he wants. And you want to know how it annoys me that people hadn't realized it was a promo and that people were calling it a shoot? Look at his damn t-shirt. What is the new thing they've been implementing? You get a one-of-one little fucking sticker thing, like this little badge they've put on all the wrestlers' gears to put into Mattel cards, the top ones. He was wearing that on the shirt.
Yeah.
It was. It literally. You're going to have a one-of-one Karrion Kross promo, and I swear to God, I will fight anyone and their mothers for that card because that promo is the greatest.
Don't be out here fighting mums. Don't be out here fighting mums.
No, I will. If a mum's got a card, it's on site. That kid's not having that card. That's my Karrion.
That was a Miz talking smack promo. That it was great. It was so
honestly good. The thing is, what I love about it is how layered it is. Because even Scarlett chimes in. Scarlett was like, you do realize collectively we've got 25 years of the business, and why are we not on the card? Even Scarlett's pissed off at it. But the fact of Karrion's like, well, these decent human beings know it because they love pro wrestling, but that doesn't matter anymore. It's all about these viral moments. Like, he's not wrong, because the past year, what's the major thing that have drawn people into wrestling has been the viral moments. They're very quick. Oh my God, did you see Speed get speared by Braun Breaker in the Rumble? Yeah. Oh my God, these new AEW people are coming over. Let's hop on Twitter.
Ross, What did I just say to you about 10 minutes ago, dude? I had people while I was watching this show, or like people while I was scrolling on TikTok saying this was the worst WrestleMania ever, and it was because no shocking moments happened in every single match. It was like, how about you just appreciate you've just witnessed great matches.
Yeah.
Just good matches. It's wrestling. It doesn't have to be, wow, this happened. That's a moment, not a match. If you want to go see moments, go watch something other form of media, okay? Because wrestling sometimes can't just be wrestling, and it can be great.
Or do you know what you do? If you want moments, go watch top 100 wrestling moments. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Don't watch actual matches. Just go watch highlight reels on YouTube.
Go watch top 10. Go watch top 10.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm sorry, I'm going to put this very fucking bluntly. What do you mean there was no shocking things with WrestleMania? What, like, are you actually ludicrous? Just because it didn't happen in every match, that doesn't matter. Sorry, we had arguably the most shocking moment ever. Heyman turned on two of the biggest people he had been close with. We also had return of wrestlers. Like, we had return of wrestlers that no one thought were going to return back in the ring. You had people that weren't meant to be winning matches or weren't actually meant to arguably have the championship, win the championship. Jey Uso, perfect example. How many people underestimated him? And you're telling me that's not a shock factor that they opened Mania with his win. You are dumb.
It's a short-sighted point of view to have. Is it like, and again, Triple H has said this by himself, and I'm not being funny. This is the first proper Triple H WrestleMania that we've had. Last year we were wrapping up other maybe Vince era storylines.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna say his name. I don't give a shit. So this year was the very first time. He said it himself. WrestleMania doesn't have to be the end of the story. It can be the beginning.
And this is what people need to start realizing, because a lot of the older WrestleManias as well, that was the beginning for people.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Do you want to know when I started picking back up wrestling? Was Kofi Mania.
Yeah.
That WrestleMania, and I didn't stop since then. It re-hooked me, and I carried on. People go back to Manias because even if they don't watch wrestling, I've got friends who don't watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, but they will still talk to me about SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and WrestleMania because they will still always go watch those pay-per-views because they know they're good. Some people just go for that one big part, and if it's the start of a story, you can hook a person from WrestleMania to WrestleMania. It's ludicrous to have people go on and state, it's not big shocking moments, because I could list off so many things in Mania that happened. For me personally, that was shocking. Like, but whatever. Oh no, this one person didn't do this one thing in the ring. It's boring. No, it's not.
I think we said this before. I think people's expectations on what wrestling should be have been altered over the years, just based on what we've seen. And when you give someone a perfectly technical wrestling match, it doesn't, in their mind, it doesn't live up to the definition of what wrestling should be, because in people's minds, it should involve a run-in, should involve a disqualification, it should involve a viral moment. Like, going back to wrestling 60 years ago, that's not what it was,
But that's the other thing that annoys me is people will, like, obviously Reese made a quite thing, and this is like me generalizing, not Reese specifically, but Reese was saying like, people compare to AEW and that.
Yeah.
But even then, it doesn't matter what one promotion does and what another promotion does. They are trying to do different things. We have had this media for over years and years and years. You can't keep repeating the same thing. Like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. People are going to find different ways to do wrestling. If it's a comedic gimmick like El Grande Americano, if it's a more serious tone, pop off character like how Killer Cross just did, if it's going to be a heel moment, it's going to be a significant one that has massive repercussions like what Paul Heyman did. You're going to have so many different ways of it. That's really cool.
Fixing Seth's hair, he can't brush his own hair.
But yeah, like, going back to On Track, because this leads back into the point I was going to make. A lot of people were a bit upset. Logan Paul didn't have a Prime bottle, didn't have a person in it. and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think having Karrion come out, stop one of Logan's mates with the knuckle duster, and give AJ a knuckle duster, I think that was so much better than having some random celebrity in a prime bottle.
It was way better
How many years have we had for the reason?
Exactly. Yeah. It would be the same people complaining if he came out with a prime bottle, because some people can't be pleased. He's doing it again. Haven't we seen this like too many times?
Exactly.
You can't please the people.
Don't get me wrong.
Because did you see the reaction Karrion Kross got?
Exactly. Don't get me wrong. Like me, G, and Keaton were like trying to guess who would be in the prime bottle because we thought he was going to do it for another year.
So was I? Yeah.
But that's a thing with my logic behind that is because that feels like a WrestleMania thing to do. It becomes like a tradition thing. If Logan gets on the card, Logan would do that, and he didn't this year. But
I have another example of that as well too. Like, and obviously we'll get it. I can talk more about it when we get into the match as well. So I'll leave that thought till then. I just want to say I have another example of it.
Yeah. I was gonna say another one of shocking moments and things that we can definitely get into, and one that I think is arguably one of the coolest championship wins of the whole of WrestleMania, the Intercontinental match.
Yes. Yeah.
I was saying to Lockie, who I was with, we were talking about different things, and I had jokingly said to him, I remember we were talking about this a while ago. I was like, oh yeah, it'd be cool if Dom Mysterio won Money in the Bank and then cashed in on a John Cena or something like that. And he was like, oh no way, that would be so sick. Didn't fucking expect Dom to win.
I see, yeah.
And it's funny because now the crowd was actually cheering him when he came out.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they wanted to see it. And I said to him, I was like, there is no way that WWE is going to do this because you're supposed to hate Dom. You're supposed to hate him.
Yeah.
And then when they did that, I was like, you are actually joking me. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I lost my mind. I jumped up and down. I screamed. I was like, this is incredible.
It totally worked, though. It totally worked.
On Raw, I just think it's now, I'm interested to see how the crowd is going to, if they're going to let him speak, if they're going to cheer him, if they're still going to boo him. I'm just interested to see what happens from here. I really enjoyed the match. It was actually a really well fought match in terms of in-ring. Penta looked great. Finn looked great. Braun looked amazing. Normal,
Carlito didn't look so great. That guy
I saw Carlito run out as well. He ran out, and I was like, oh, it's fucking Carlito.
That guy needs to start wearing body armor, dude.
Also, right, I'm going to bring it up. So I don't know if you guys noticed this. You know that girl that got hit by the RC car by Stone Cold later on the night?
Heard about
Carlito threw the fucking tabletop at her as well. She got hit by the table. You know when he flung it? You know when he flung the top off?
Yeah.
It hit her hands. It landed up because he looked back and he went, oh shit, and carried on.
I didn't see
For God's
that.
sake.
Yeah, if you watch back, you'll see it. So that girl could have literally got a lawsuit for bang.
She could have sued and gotten free tickets for the rest of her life.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You know the amount of, when I was driving around in Vegas, do you know the amount of billboards that I saw for hiring injury lawyers to sue people? It's so easy to do that in the States. You could have just done that. I could have said I got hit by somebody and gotten free tickets for the rest of my life. Did
Morgan and Morgan.
But yeah, Morgan and Morgan. Not sponsored.
Morgan and Morgan. Morgan and Morgan. But for me, the match was fantastic, start to finish. I loved every bit of it. I did have my crash out moment of once again Finn gets done dirty because Finn had it set up ready to go. Had the 1, the 2. I was about to jump out of my seat to be like, yes, Finn's got the 3. I'm happy. And then Dom did it. And don't get me wrong, I love Dom. I love the dirty Dom work. It made sense that he won. But a little part of my soul was still crushed that Finn this close. Can we stop doing this to Finn?
Sorry, man. I'm sorry, man.
I hope this leads to Finn taking it off Dom. I hope it leads to a long storyline of Finn plays the waiting game like he did with Damian and then drops Dom.
Okay, that worked out for him.
You shut up.
I'm sorry.
But I just want Finn with a belt. Like in the big year of 2025, Finn also deserves a good push and the belt, and that's where I hope this storyline goes. Especially the fact of Finn was the only one who looked pissed off that Dom retained, and also JD came back, and I saw him smiling at JD. So then he literally looked at Dom again with the belt, and he looked so pissed off.
Yeah, it's the dichotomy of everyone's now happy because the belts are back in the faction, and you're still jaded because everyone's so happy. JD's back, everyone's excited, and you're the only one that's still like salty about what happened.
Yeah. And then there's Finn. Just Finn, man, poor Finn.
But like, I think in this match, like, I was happy with any of them winning. This is like what was the crazy part about it, because like Penta, if he won, cool, it made sense. He's had a couple of months to build himself up, put it on a new star, let's see what he does. But also him losing, I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. He'll get more opportunities. They'll build him more. It could become a genuine threat to Dom again.
I'm glad that Penta didn't win. To be fair, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it would have been a little bit too early. I want to see him change.
That's what I'm saying. I would have been happy if he won because it wouldn't have annoyed me. But like, I'm glad he didn't because, like, as you said, I feel like it would have been an early trigger pull. It would have been one where I was like, I think it's a bit too soon, but I'm okay to see where they would progress it. Braun retaining, I would have been fine with. I've been enjoying his IC run, the promos he does. The Steiner Math one was just made sense. It was good laugh. Him losing it, I was very much in the same boat as you, Courtney, of like, oh God, what are they going to do with Braun now? Yeah. And by God, they did what I really hoped they were going to do. They strapped a rocket to this guy and sent him straight to the moon with that booking. You've aligned him with the guy to align him with in a Heyman and a Seth. I'm sorry, like, these are two of the biggest attractions. So eyes are going to be on Braun all the fucking time, and that makes total sense.
Yep. So, I do see maybe like Penta being in contention this year for Money in the Bank. I think that could be really cool.
That'd be cool.
Do something like that for. I was in multiple minds about this match. I enjoyed it. I think it was definitely one of the stronger matches that took place on the card. Me is happy that Dom won as well too. Same as you, Ross. I didn't mind who won the match. I think that it could have worked for any of them in terms of especially with the two Judgment Day members, having either of them win, that would have helped with storyline progression. Having Penta win would sound cool, and then Braun retaining was all right. But I mean, like, I'm just so happy that Dom is finally a champion again. Like, it just, I don't know. I feel like the IC title, it works best for him, and I really want to see if they like customize it up a little bit for him, give him kind of like, how he comes out with like cow print and stuff. You could do like a black and white like cow print strap for the IC title or something, very similar to like LA Knight had with his one. But what do you think, Reese? How did you feel about the match?
I thought it was incredible. I think everyone really served a purpose in this match. No one looked weak. Everyone looked strong. I loved Braun Breaker just looking like a beast all the way through this match, like no matter what. Dominic Mysterio, I kind of did see it coming, but I was on the same panel as Ross. Like, I wanted Finn to win, just because I think it's a bit overdue for Finn, as much as I joke about it. Penta, God, that guy, like, Penta is the next Rey Mysterio in terms of he's the guy to take over, like this Lucha division and like take it into the next level. But with Dominic Mysterio, I've said for a minute now that Dominic Mysterio is a heel because he does what he does to baby faces. If you give Dominic Mysterio the opportunity to play his character towards heels, he would be a babyface. And it's because people love to hate him because he's a dick, but people will love to be on his side because he'd be like a bit of a cheeky tweener.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think he's just great. I love his charisma. He is well deserved. He's by far been one of the best on that roster for a long time now. Since he probably joined the Judgment Day, since they did that whole prison angle where he went to Ray's house at Thanksgiving. He has just been on point ever since then.
Break me out.
So good. It was so good. And then they went to the restaurant and he had no money. It was great. And then obviously, like everything that he's done with the Judgment Day, the whole when he went down to NXT and won the North American Championship for a little bit was fantastic. The live stuff that he did last year, he shone through that.
Yeah. You also have to remember that Dom Mysterio is a 20-year seasoned vet. You know, like he knows his shit. Like he's he's been in the trenches. He's been through the really hard times. He knows what he's doing. You know.
Exactly.
I'm so happy that they did it because that was one of my things on my. I don't think it was on. I'm trying to remember. Was it on our 2025 bingo card or something like that? Maybe
I have the bingo.
Maybe it was on my personal bingo card, but I was like, I'd love
it
to
was
see
either that or him winning Money in the Bank or something.
I have the bingo card. Let me load it up. Hold up.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I think this is amazing. And like I said, they didn't have him do a promo on Raw, so I'd be really interested to see kind of like how the crowd.
We
reacts.
said world champ. I mean, we said world champion. I mean,
close enough.
It's close enough. He's intercontinental.
We could change the bingo card up a little bit and then cross it off. I was going to say no one's going to know, but we posted it on social, so people will know.
They're never going to know.
I'm not being funny. Like, I mean, it's only April. Like, you know, we've got till December for that to happen. So you don't know, do you?
We
also,
do. Yeah.
Is there anything else on that bingo card we can cross off? Like, I think it's been a while
true.
since we've looked at it.
Let's have a quick sneak peek.
Next Friday, we can actually cross one off. Malachi Black being back in WWE.
Yeah, there we go. There's one of them.
Did Rusev on there?
I don't think we did. Judgment Day split is possible.
Oh, we're getting that. We are getting that. I think that is something to
That's
tick
going to be
off.
cinema, I reckon, when that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is crazy. Ricky Starks NXT bound.
That was my one.
Oh, yeah.
That was my one.
That's already happened.
Let's cross that shit off.
We've got Obafemi World Champ, which is that.
We got that, didn't we?
He's NXT World Champion.
That was me. I think he's might come to the main roster. You never know.
Yeah. Bella Twins back in the ring is being heavily speculated.
Yeah, it could happen. I think we'll get that by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's definitely some. There's definitely somebody we can CM Punk main events Mania. We can cross that off now.
Boom! Yeah, there's another one.
There you go, Court.
I love being right. It feels so good.
Also, because we were saying about people winning Money in the Bank, a certain Keaton who enjoys watching the show has just messaged me a theory that he's thrown out, and I want to throw it to you guys because this is insane if they do it.
Okay.
Cena wins Money in the Bank, so no one can cash in, so he officially ruins wrestling because no one could take his belt.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
That would be... Or you know what's even worse? He wins Money in the Bank, he cashes in to get the other world belt, and he's just got both belts and leaves with both.
Amazing.
That's so funny.
But let's quickly go through some of these because we've got two major ones that I definitely want Court to talk. Just actually from the stadium atmosphere and being in person for that. So we'll quickly go over Damien versus Drew. What did both of you guys think?
So good. Loved it.
I thought it was a lot better than it had any right to be. They had
no business being that good.
I love the start where he tweeted again like still bored at work.
Yeah. Best part. I loved that. Just the deuces, bro.
So good. Like he's so funny. Like no one really won the Slammy for the best social media.
Well, it was out of either him or Chelsea. They didn't nominate anybody else.
I know, which is weird.
Should have me, but that's okay.
Yeah, but both were great.
Yeah, I think the spot at the end was great. The Claymore into the chair that looked brutal.
Oh, yeah.
The old school push off into the two tables looked amazing.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was way better than it had any right to be. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Valid.
I think they took the criticism that they'd been getting of, oh, why are we getting this match, blah, 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 and being like, let's just give them a solid match.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about how Damian Priest's entrance was performed by the guy who does his new entrance?
Yes.
So good. I was like actually losing my mind. I thought that was so cool because you could tell that Damian was really enjoying it, very similarly to how Rhea had Motionless in White last year for her entrance. Like you could just tell that Damian was just like soaking up that moment and was just like.
So there's extra context to that as well.
Lay it on me.
Because it's the guitarist of Slayer. Damien's actually hosting one of Slayer's festivals.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Time. Mm-hmm. So it's the collaborative work to get Damien over with them, and then Damien's going to be hosting for them.
It would be on the contract. I think you do this for us, we'll do this for you. So.
Yeah,
exactly, probably will be. Yeah.
Which is really fucking cool. And I mean,
I have no notes on this match. It was as Reese said, it was better than it needed to be. Like going into it, people were expecting it to be. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was so good.
I just want to talk about my absolute nerdy mind got broken. The fact Drew McIntyre walked out in fucking Doom Slayer's themed gear and had the Doom helmet because it was sponsored by Doom Eternal, which is coming out soon. Which I love the Doom franchise. If you don't know Doom, it's fucking cool. And he just looked dope. He just looked fucking dope coming out in that gear. I'm like, hell yeah.
Oh, this was so funny. Like you could I got the vibe from Drew that he didn't want to be wearing that at all. Like, he got it off so quick. He was like, all right, get this shit off me. I got the vibe. He was like, yo, like someone told him that he was dressing up as a Doom character, and at the backstage he was like, what the fuck is Doom? Never heard of it.
I loved it. I thought it fit him. I thought he looked like an absolute badass, especially because Doom Eternal has a lot more medieval based themes like Claymore.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, for a minute I thought he was Master Chief or something.
I mean, they are very similar, bro. Like armor style, they are very similar.
Yeah, I think we all agree. Match was better than it needed to be. It was they over delivered. I think
100%.
And then we'll quickly go into this one, and then we'll talk about the two major ones that I want to know Courtney's experience there. This is not to diminish this one. I think arguably this was the match of the night for me, and this is very much a strong match of the year contender. Rhea, Io, Bianca.
I thought this was match of the weekend in terms of WrestleMania.
So we got through night one, and I was like, oh yeah, that was all good. This match fucking took place, and I was like, this is my match of the weekend. I was like, this is so good. Everyone's entrance was fantastic. Io came out, looked amazing. Bianca came out with the little girls. Her stepdaughter was there as well too, and it was a part of her entrance. We actually found out like probably halfway through night two. We heard someone talking behind us, and I turned around, and one of the little girls who was on stage with Bianca was actually like sitting behind me, and her mum was talking to her. And I was like, oh, were you on stage with Bianca doing the entrance? And she was like, yeah. And I said, oh, you did so well. Like, that was so awesome. Like, that must be such a cool moment for
That's
you. And
really
she was
cool.
Like, she was over the moon. It was really cool. Rhea's entrance, dressing up as the laughing man from Batman, that was...
Joker, so the Joker good. Who laughs. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. This match for me, like, this was a situation where, like, these ladies, all three of them individually, they are fantastic. They did not need to slay as hard as they did in this match. Bianca's gear, can we talk about that as well? She always eats with her gear. Like, she always does an amazing job.
I really liked how she did the roses details. I said it was very much a unique gear. Like, it's not one we've really seen from her, because a lot of the gear she does is a lot more of like the lips and the kisses base from her EST. Yeah. So seeing just like a full floral design, I was like, that's fucking cool.
It also is very Las Vegas related though. Like,
just
like very where'd Reese go?
I believe
like very theatre-esque. Because obviously WrestleMania 39, she did one that was inspired by like the Hollywood Walk of Fame, like the stars that are on the ground.
Yeah, so, she did the stars,
no, this match for me, I went into it having like predictions, but like when I was watching the match unfold before my eyes, I was like, I genuinely do not care who wins this match.
Same.
I was like, this is such a good match, and people were chanting like women's wrestling. People were chanting like this is awesome. I think like this is definitely one of the best women's matches we have seen take place. And also, can we talk about how like Bianca was the one to get pinned?
Yes.
Talk about how WWE is not afraid of doing things. I initially was like, oh, they're not going to have Bianca be the one to get pinned because they don't want her to lose the streak. Has she now kind of lost her streak?
Yes. Well, no, because what they'll do it, and this is the thing that'll annoy you. They'll do it. She has not lost her streak 1-1 at Mania.
Yeah, so
that's how they'll get away. That's how they'll get away with it. It's because it wasn't 1-on-1. It was a triple threat. Rules do not apply with triple threats. But I am so happy Io retained.
Me too.
I don't know if you saw, but a load of the Stardom and a load of the Joshi girls flew out to watch.
I did not see that match.
Starlight Kid from Stardom was there. AZM was there. Miyu was there. Like so many of the Joshi girls came, and Kyrie backstage in Gorilla was crying when Io retained. So I loved everything about this match. I think the right person won in my.
Solid.
I think the right person won in my eyes.
Yeah.
I know a lot. That's controversial to some people. People are like, "Oh, nah, Rhea should have won it. Rhea should have got it back." No, and the reason why I say no,
I think if it wasn't for the obvious, like Cena Cody thing going on, and if this had a better build, I think they should have main evented. I thought it was a great match.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
I'm the same as you. For me, this was my main event.
Yeah.
Like it was
brilliant.
Everything and more is all I could say. Everything and more came out.
MVP of the weekend, by the way. The two MVPs of the weekend, Io and Stephanie Vaquer, like pulling two great matches in the weekend. Like, wow, man. Like Stefan with the fatal four-way stand and deliver, Io with the triple threat at Mania, and then they both faced each other on Raw. Like, wow.
Yeah.
That was like insane. Like when we obviously had Io come out, and then I heard like it went quiet, and I like was catching on to the music, and I like my brain, because I was so tired at this point when it came to Monday Night Raw, I was like, who the fuck is this? My brain was like not helping me out in the slightest. Yeah. And then I saw the Tron and it had the horns, and I like literally lost my mind. I was like, no way, because this is a match like I have wanted for so long.
So many of us
physically in person and like watching it on TV, it was like it gave us crumbs of what we could get as a full match at some point in time. And where we were seated at Raw, we actually could see people running in. So I saw, because I was like, I'm like, Julia's gonna come out at some point, right? And then obviously Roxanne ran past, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, sweet, Roxanne's here. That's amazing. And then Julia came out, and I was like, no way. And then just seeing the integration of the NXT women coming in and just kind of having those face-offs. I know a lot of people, like, after these big WrestleMania matches will be like, oh, I wonder who this person's going to go up against next. Just seeing the way that these women are being shown in the ring, whether it's getting a small match between Stephanie and Io, getting a face-off against Julia and Rhea, seeing all these other moments that we're getting, it's going to show that there is plans for the future. And this might be a hot take, but the likes of Jordynne Grace, Roxanne Perez, Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, all those kind of women, I really want to see them get called up in the draft. I don't think they really need to be part of NXT for much longer. I think they are definitely needed on the main roster.
Well, I was saying that to Morgan.
Yeah, I was just excited to see who was going to be a part of like when SmackDown comes on. I know SmackDown after Mania isn't as much of a big deal, but if they've done something similar with the women, I would love to see them do something like that. What they did with Raw on SmackDown.
I was saying this to Morgan on the standard liver predictions. I was like, if you take 5 women out of that women's division on NXT, it wouldn't affect the NXT women's division whatsoever, just because it's so strong. And I think the fact that you've got. You had them lot on Raw, like Julia, Roxanne, Stephanie. God, that's the future of women's wrestling, and it's looking bright, man. We need another evolution, like 100%.
I think we are getting one, but I'm also just going to call it now. So you know how we got a bunch of NXT women show up on Raw? I would love to see Tiffany come out and start talking about her match, and I would love to see either Azaria face up to her or Jordan Grace. I'd be totally keen to see that because it goes to show breadcrumbs. Yeah, Sol Ruka she's double champ now because she's speed champion and North American.
She is, yeah.
Wow.
It'd
I
be
didn't
great
think they were
to
going to
see.
do that, but I mean that's I think the women's division is definitely looking strong coming out of Mania. It's just we're going to get fed this in small doses, but still.
For a short while, we had 2 double champions. For a short while, we had 2 double champions.
I know. It's just insane. Wild to think about. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on the match between Bianca and Rio? Oh my God.
Rio.
What a tag team name. Rio. Bianca, Io, and Rio. Because I don't know if you know much about it, but
match of the weekend for me. I just think the fact that these women had so much good chemistry individually in matches together. Like obviously we've seen Rhea versus Io, fantastic matches. We've seen Bianca, like the way she wrestles in terms of style. We know that she can handle the smaller opponents like an Asuka or a Kairi. It was great to see her mix it up with Io once again, and like we just got a little bit of a taste of what we could get if we get Rhea versus Bianca in a singles feud. So I think with this, all of that combined in them ingredients in this triple threat match just made for an amazing match. I loved every single minute of it.
I think it was incredibly refreshing to see because obviously we got the match between Charlotte and Tiffany on night 1, which potentially left a lot to be desired. When we got this match, it just felt like, the build-up for some people might not have been necessarily what it could have been, but the match for me, it saved it. I was I literally looked at everyone who I was with and I was like, this is my match of the weekend so far. It'll take something else. Obviously, storytelling-wise, my match of the night was the triple threat on night 1 with the boys. But in-ring-wise, my match of the weekend was definitely the triple threat for the women's title. Like, it was top to bottom, could not fault it.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah. So let's dive into the moment, shall we? Let's go there. The women's tag match of Liv and Raquel versus Lyra and what was going to be Bailey.
Yep.
Bailey got attacked backstage. Lyra had 24 hours to find a new tag partner.
Yeah.
A lot of us all knew. A lot of us all knew.
Justice for Pam.
A lot of us all knew, had an inkling, but we were like, they're not going to do it. They can't.
No.
So my thought was, Tate and Paxley. And then they'll play to the storyline of, oh no, they've got to fight each other on NXT. What's going to happen there? So then, that didn't happen because lo and behold, who returns to be by Lyra's side?
Whoa!
The man Becky Lynch. And it made some people feel some type of ways that so far that WWE caught someone's reaction and had to put it on TV. So, cool. What was going through your mind at the time that they caught you in your most vulnerable moment?
I think you fucking saw what was going through my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
No, do we need to ask that? How did you feel, Courtney?
So, all right. Bit of a long story, but obviously, like, we'd seen the clip during WrestleMania. I'm just getting a bit more comfortable because this is a big moment.
Let me sit down. I got to sit for this.
No, I'm uncomfortable. The amount of sitting I've been doing in the last 48 hours is uncomfortable.
48. Okay, now.
Yeah, feels like it's been ages. So we saw the clip on the Titantron during night 1 of of Bailey being attacked. I didn't know that it had happened until I'd seen it on the screen.
Yeah.
And then you guys had obviously said it in the chat, and you were talking about who you want to see, and I kind of glazed over the messages and kind of didn't respond because I was like, I was pretty busy while I was away, so I didn't really have time.
Yeah.
Why are you so
rude? And then
rude?
I'd seen heaps of videos come up, and I was like, look, I'm just going to enjoy it for whoever it is. Part of me internally did want it to be the Queen, Becky Lynch. But I was like, look, if it's not, It's totally fine. They'll just do what they do best. Becky Lynch's theme song is in my gym playlist, and every time literally ever since she left, every time it's come on, I've skipped it because I want the next time that I hear that song to be when she comes out. And so I was filming my reaction before it happened, and I was like saying to I think I sent it to you guys. I was saying to myself, because I was like at peace with the fact if it was her, amazing. If it's not, totally fine. I was just like, please be Becky Lynch. Please be Becky Lynch. And then that first note happened, and I don't know. I just blacked out. I blacked out. And I started crying. Obviously, you guys know how much I love her and how much she's been a role model to me through my formative years, and kind of like, you know how, and I said this in my video when I was talking about it, you know how like sometimes you have that person that's constantly there for you in like a role model state when you can't show up for yourself. I was like, that's very much how she's been for me throughout my life. And I literally was crying. This was my old phone, so I didn't really care about it. I like squatted down to the ground, like fell to my knees, dropped my phone, and you can just see me crying in the corner of the screen. and then I get up and I just go about the rest of my crying, and I just like watch the match. And then my phone starts going off. My watch starts pinging. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and then I saw your message, and I was like, no way. Like, literally no way. No fucking way. And then my Instagram DMs kept going off. My TikTok comments were getting spammed. Everything was going crazy. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And so after WrestleMania, the guy who I was with, Lockie, he was like, what the hell's going on? I was like, I think I just got caught on TV. Like, I was like, I don't know what's going on. And then I started seeing a whole bunch of reaction clips being sent through, and I saw it. And my first thought was, you cheeky fucks. Cheeky fucks for catching me out in a moment where I'm in my most vulnerable state. Like, just so happy that she's come back. Like, you can say whatever you want about Becky Lynch. It doesn't hurt my feelings anymore because it will never take away from how she makes me feel.
Yeah, and she means a lot to you. That's all that matters, isn't it?
For me to have that moment where, like, just being, like, regardless of if it got seen on TV or not, just me having that moment where, like, my favorite wrestler returned at an event that I never thought she would return at. I thought she had retired. I thought she was gone. For me to have that moment just as a fan, regardless of the fact that WWE caught that, was like, it felt so nice to just have something that was speculated but we never thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then to now be a part of return promo packages that have been seen by millions of people online.
Crazy, isn't it?
My mum was spamming me. She was messaging me, but I wasn't responding. She like tried to call Chris like 4 times, being like, Courtney was on TV. Courtney was on TV. He's like, I've literally seen it. She was messaging the clip of it to my family. My family's been messaging me. Like, it was just, it goes to show that like that kind of reaction can just, I don't know, it's insane.
Yeah.
I still can't wrap my brain around it. I still can't wrap my brain around the fact that like they're now including me in. It's a part of history. I've had people comment on the video being like, yeah, but no one will remember you tomorrow. It's like, first of all, I don't need people to remember me, but also that is now immortalized in history.
Yeah.
Forever. Like, we still see the clips of
I'm sorry.
Angry Miz Girl. We still see those clips of that guy
literally about to say that. Yeah, everyone still sees Angry Miz Girl.
Undertaker's streak being lost. We still see those clips. Like, that will be forever brought back into the spotlight.
Yeah.
But like,
It was even brought up on the
that's not
wall,
the point, is it? Like, it was you seeing someone who means a lot to you, your idol, like your hero. Like, it doesn't matter if anyone remembers you or forgets you. Like, and people miss the point, and they say that just to hurt your feelings for sure.
It doesn't hurt my feelings, but it's just like,
yeah.
Like, even if that moment never got caught on TV, just for me to know that I had that moment of seeing my favorite wrestler return and me getting emotional in the state that I did, that was enough for me. But the fact that now millions of people, and I'm not trying to, I don't want to, it doesn't matter how you say it, it just sounds like your ego gets inflated, but for like millions of people to see that reaction happen, and the amount of comments and messages that I have had from people being like, I felt the same as you when she came back, or this is how I feel about Rhea Ripley, this is how I feel about all these different people. Like, it just goes to show that like that kind of emotion that you evoke from wrestling. Like, sure, a storyline might not be great and you might not like it, but it's not about that. And Triple H has said this in podcasts. It's about how wrestling makes you feel.
Yeah.
And in that moment, WWE caught a fan feeling their feelings for something shocking that happened. The fan just so happens to be me, but WWE caught a fan in that moment feeling something.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about viral moments and everything, you know, at the end of the day, wrestling's not about who wins or loses. It's about how it makes you feel. And that's and that's what WWE caught. And the thing is, after that had happened in person, there were some people sitting in front of me and they were smiling with me because they were like, there was a guy who was like, look, I have that same kind of feeling about Rey Mysterio. Like, he's a massive inspiration to me and I like feel the same as you do. And there are so many people around me that were like lifting me up in that moment, because at first I kind of felt embarrassed that I had that reaction. And then when I saw the clip come out, I got embarrassed because I was like, oh, now great. Like, millions of people have seen me cry. Like, you know, people are going to rip me apart on the internet and everything. But the people that I was with, they like really lifted me up and they were like, no, that's such an incredible moment to have. Like, why are you embarrassed? Like, and I think I just felt embarrassed because I know how critical the internet can be. And I just knew that there'd be so many people that would rip that moment apart. But
yeah, dude, screw the internet, man. Like the same way you feel about Becky Lynch. Like, I mean, I told the story on this podcast. It's the same reason the way I feel like Roman Reigns on the Bloodline. It's because it's like I will forever be a Bloodline stan, just because of, like I said, like 2020 onwards has not been very easy for me. But every single week I was able to turn on SmackDown and something was good or cool going on in the Bloodline and was able to take my mind off something for a couple of hours. And you will forever be grateful for that because there was something there. So I totally get it. I understand that. There's nothing to be embarrassed about at all.
I have mine tattooed on my leg. Like, Bray means so much to me and always has. Like, it's the same as Reese. Like, when the Fiend started coming out around like 2020, 2021, those were like really bad times for me. And the fact I could sit there, see horror, which is another favorite genre of mine, be presented in a wrestler like that and have his moments there, it just gravitates to me. And it was like, that's the whole thing with wrestling.
You resonate with it.
And that's the thing with any media. Everyone has favorite characters in films, in TVs, in books. It's the exact same for wrestling. Just that person is a human being that performs. Like, you can cry over a wrestler. Look how many dudes probably cried over when Edge finally returned. I'm not gonna
100%.
I'm not gonna front. I fucking shed a tear. That was incredible to have him come back.
So did I, and now I shed a tear every week that he's still here.
Oofed.
But as I go back to say, like, regardless of if the moment got caught on camera, the fact that was my reaction coming out of WrestleMania, like, WWE clearly did that job by having that kind of emotion be evoked by somebody. I know that I probably wouldn't have been the only person in that stadium that was incredibly just excited to see her back. Just so happens that now millions of people have seen me fucking cry. So.
No, you're right. You're totally right.
But going off that really quickly, like, I just the crash out moment on Raw. Everyone was booing in the crowd. I was literally screaming, "You are so effing valid for that!" Like, honestly, I was like, "Pop off, Queen, do your thing." Because I'm somebody, and you guys know this. I'm somebody who loves Becky Lynch, regardless of if she's a face or a heel. I think she can do it all.
Yeah.
And I'm so
she was justified in doing it, though.
She's justified in doing it. You pulled me out of retirement to help you, and I've gone out of my way and done that. You had one job, and you couldn't even...
You got one job. Don't get pinned while I was handling business against Raquel.
I reckon, if anything, because obviously Becky Lynch is really known for wanting to help elevate people and elevate things. I think a lot of people's conversations going into WrestleMania were about how, you know, the IC women's title doesn't feel as strong as the United States women's title. Bringing Becky Lynch into this is going to help it.
Fucking yes, it's about to be.
And it's going to help Lyra, and I think that's why 100%. That's why Becky Lynch is here. She's here to help people, regardless of if you think that she's very similar to Hulk Hogan. That is your opinion, and I do not share that opinion, and that's absolutely fine. The examples of Becky Lynch of what I've seen has always been that she is wanting to help people. She's wanting to help the business. She's wanting to help talent. She's wanting to help women's wrestling.
How do people call her Hulk Hogan because of that one time she beat Bianca Belair in like 30 seconds? It's like
that also elevated Bianca though. Like, let's talk about that.
If you take that out of the equation, how many times has she turned around and helped people and put people over in storylines?
Like, we done at NXT to help the women down there. Like, when it comes to people who decide to try and throw that argument out there, I don't even bother like even trying to say my piece about it anymore, because deep down I know what she does.
Former NXT champion Lyra Valkyria. Former NXT champion Lyra Valkyria. Who do you think she beat for the title?
Exactly.
Come on now. Anyway, next match.
The last one we have to talk about is the match, the one that people very much called underwhelming, but I think this match delivered.
So you've missed something.
Yeah, I think you've missed something.
You've missed something, my guy.
I'm just gonna go.
Oh shit! Yes, no,
no. So when he was going to talk about some moments that he wanted to know how it felt being there. I thought he was in reference to this.
No, I forgot because it wasn't on the card. Randy Orton's opponent match was not on the poster cards, so I forgot to mention that. I mean, props to who came out and fought Randy. I thought the match was a squash, though. It kind of sucked for Joe Hendry. It would have been nice to have it a little bit longer.
Let's just talk about that crowd reaction, though.
Oh, yeah, the crowd pop was insane.
Dude, it doesn't matter if it was a squash, if it lasted 5 seconds or 5 minutes. It does not matter. That was a moment for him, man. Like,
just Hendry, like I had said multiple times, different people. I said it could be Rusev. I said it could be Malik. I said all these. My brain never fucking thought it could have been Joe Hendry.
Yeah,
and literally the second I heard say his name, I got up out of my seat, was jumping up and down, losing my shit. Like, the crowd crowd lost it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I loved about him. You had 60,000 people there who knew who he was. Yeah. I thought that was fantastic. I love that for him so much.
It was such a solidified moment. He needed to be over with the crowd, and it shows how over he is. Like, it's not something to question. It's genuinely a big deal for him. I also like that he came back to NXT the night literally after WrestleMania and took his stance with Trick. I think that is going to be a very interesting story to develop for him. That hopefully leads even further.
I think after he drops the TNA title, I definitely think he will be on his way to WWE, whether it's NXT or main roster. I do think he is bound that way. There was a moment, I can't remember exactly where it was, obviously, because there was a lot that happened in terms of, like media after. But I think he was on the post show with somebody, and somebody asked him, they're like, you're walking differently, your aura feels different, like what has changed? And I think he just said that it was validation. He got validation from people in WWE that he was meant to be there. It is a part of an amazing moment. And I think, for anybody, having that kind of validation from people who you've looked up to and people who you've been inspired by and people who have helped you to now have that moment, of course, that's going to change how you feel about yourself. Like regardless of what you're doing in life, if you're working towards something and you constantly doubt yourself, when you finally have that moment hit you, you're like, I'm meant to be here. This is my moment. This is where I'm supposed to be. And I think he must have had that moment in the weekend. And I mean, it was well deserved. Like I said before, was not expecting it to be Joe Hendry because my brain just was like, you're not going to do it. But they did. And me along with 60-something thousand people just completely lost it. We were so happy. Regardless if it was a squash match or not, we are so happy he had that moment. Like,
I said it in the video, like the reaction video was like this. I was watching this guy years ago on the Indies when he was in WCPW, when he was in the Prestige, like when he was in 500 people, like arenas and shit like that. Like I was in warehouses, and just to see where he is now I'm so happy for him. And I've met him, and he's a really nice guy. He's so down to earth. He's such a cool person. So there's no one that deserves it more than him. I'm really excited for what's to come for Joe Hendry. He's so talented.
I agree.
The fact that he got that RKO and you can see him on the floor smiling as well.
Yeah. And because the thing is, like, my brain didn't think of the fact it could have been him, but then while I was watching the match, I actually thought to myself, and you guys may remember this, I was like, did he have a moment with Randy during the Rumble? Like, I feel like they did have a moment. And I just am kind of confused at myself that my brain didn't fire when that happened at the time.
I can't remember. I know it was. I know we had one with Jacob and one with Roman. I can't remember if it was with Randy, because all I remember is Sheamus shouting at Jacob, going, "I was enjoying that. Why are you always so angry?"
I'm gonna go back and watch it because, as I said, when it was the mystery opponent and it came out to be Joe Hendry, I didn't think about it until I got back to the hotel. I thought to myself, I was like, I'm pretty sure they had a moment in the Rumble together. I was like, why did they not even think it could have been him?
They probably did. Yeah,
you probably did. Yeah, you're probably right. I don't remember.
Later, but anyway, should we move on to the main event of all main events?
Yeah. So this was the major one I wanted to know, like, what genuinely the crowd reaction was like, because the IWC has been very conflicting to just read on this. A lot of people say the match was really underwhelming. It felt pointless. People are like, "Oh, I'm happy Cena won 17 times," but a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's completely ruined and buried Cody." I know Mr. Reese here has put his sunglasses on because he's very bloody happy that Cody Rhodes has lost the title.
Cody Reigns.
Cody has lost his reign of the belt, is what I was trying to say. So yeah, part of me is sad Cody lost. Well, part of me is sad Cody lost because, like, I just wanted to see. I don't know. I wanted to see John Cena's heel lose. And then that becomes the true crash out where he just goes, forget it, I am going to destroy wrestling, and just tears everything apart.
Yeah.
I feel like him winning here, it kind of just feels like, oh no, wrestling is about to be ruined. There's no, like, last fight in it, is how it felt for me. Obviously, that's now changed because of what happened on Raw, and I'm here for that. I'm here for that 20 years of rivalry rebuilding, like that's cool as fuck. But just I don't know, like, a lot of people have made it sound like this match was not good and the crowd reaction wasn't good. So what was it like for you?
Do you want to hear a crowd reaction comment that I heard that I actually got really pissed off about?
What?
Obviously, people in America be drinking in the stadiums and that's fine, but I heard someone literally shouting out, this match should have been on Raw.
Oh,
shut up, go home.
That's literally, I turned around and I said, I respect your opinion, but you are wrong. Like, it's not about the moves that were done in the ring. It's about the historical significance of this moment.
Yeah.
It is about somebody like a Cody Rhodes who has cut and grit his teeth to get to where he is, and he's holding this title against somebody and defending the title against somebody who he idolized growing up, and he spent a lot of time with when he was first in the industry, first part of WWE. That must be a really conflicting moment for that now to be a person who hates his guts. And I think people are not thinking correctly about this. And I don't know if you guys share the same sentiment that I do. But for me, this is somebody who, and I'm referring to John Cena here, this is somebody who has continuously pleased the fans throughout his entire run. He's become the guy. He felt like he couldn't step away from WWE because there was not somebody of the same significance and, magnitude of a John Cena for him to be able to step away. And there now is. And I think what is the real story that I'm seeing from this whole John Cena turn, and it's taken me up until WrestleMania to see this, is that we are seeing somebody who has gone out and publicly stated, this is my last year within the company.
Yeah.
From January to December, this is my last year within the company. And maybe he has sat back and realized that a whole lot of talent is now a lot better than what he was at their age. And he's having an identity crisis to the point where, as he said, he is willing to do whatever it takes for him to be a 17-time champion. Yeah. If that means selling your soul, that is what you are going to do to have this. He's gone out openly and said that he's ruined wrestling. Well, great. If people are saying the match is underwhelming, he's clearly done his job.
Yeah, that's
he's
what I was
clearly done his job. He's in a frame of mind now where he doesn't care what anybody else says. He is going to do whatever it takes for him to have this moment before he retires as self-validation. I'm sure we've all had moments where we've thought to ourselves, we need to do whatever it takes to have something happen. This is just what we are seeing from John Cena. And I think I think he's doing his job. I think he's doing his job. He's getting the reaction out of the fans, because if he's not getting a reaction out of the fans, he's not doing what he's set out to do. You know, you have to sit back and remember that WWE is pulling the trigger on something that they initially did not think they were going to do, and that was turning a beloved babyface of 20-something years into a heel. And changing the narrative, changing the character, changing the trajectory of his career. You know, he could have gone out on his back as a babyface, as somebody who's spent the rest of this year putting people over, but WWE has chosen to do the unthinkable. And I'm intrigued to see where we go. Obviously, we got to see, you know, Randy Orton do an RKO on John Cena, which that in itself is really interesting, because if you think back to how that feud took place back in the day, Randy Orton was that vicious heel and John Cena was that babyface. So now to see that dynamic shift between the two of them, it gives me a whole extra layer of storytelling and gives me a whole extra layer of intrigue, because now we get to see the roles being reversed. I don't know. That's how I feel. You can think whatever you want about the in-ring match in terms of like the IWC, and that's fine. But I think you have to just think of it from the storytelling aspect more than
I was going to say you hit the nail on the head for me when you said exactly what I did. When people said the match was underwhelming, it did what it meant to do. If he's going to ruin wrestling, he was going to do it in a way where no flashy moves were needed, nothing cool for him to do. He was just
you saw his graphics and stuff were all black with just white writing. He's not giving you the flashy antics anymore. He's not giving you the colourful John Cena. He's not giving you
same old music, no heel
same old
music,
different presentation.
Generic walkout, no crazy shenanigans of like
wearing the title behind him now. Him being champion, he wore it behind him on Raw. That photo he got taken with Triple H, he turned around for it. He's not giving you what he wants. He's ruining wrestling for you, and the IWC are clearly giving him the reaction that he's after.
Exactly. I think it's
John Cena's getting a rise out of you. How does it feel?
I don't know. Rise above hate. That's what he always told you to do. But you're not doing that, are you? No.
A lot of hustle, loyalty, and disrespect coming from John Cena over here.
Right?
What do you think, Reese?
I loved it so much. It was so great. Where were all these Cody fans 2 or 3 months ago when the Cody title reign was crap, and now that something's happened that you don't want to happen, you crying about it? Carry on crying. I loved it so much. I tell you what, Cody Rhodes getting kicked in the nuts and then getting hit with the title belt is literally what I think of his entire title run. I don't care. I'm a consistent, proud card-carrying member of the Cody Hated Club. I don't like the fact that he beat Roman Reigns last year. I get that it needed to happen, but the title run was absolutely awful. Let's not pretend it was crap just because something that it was good just because something that you thought was crap has happened. No, that's not a thing. I'm sorry. It's one of those situations where you've got fickle fans who don't want Cena to be champion. So then they pretend to be lifelong Cody fans. I'm not painting everyone with the same brush.
No.
I'm really not. But let's be honest, Cody Rhodes has not really looked that good in this feud up to now. Even before this match, he was I think he was outperformed, and he underdelivered in a lot of his promos against John Cena. I think the fact that you've got a guy here like Cody Rhodes who deserves to be in the main event without a shadow of a doubt. But I don't know. You need two to tango, right? So, you can't blame it all on Cena. Cody was also going for quite a lot of crossroads himself. So, you got to have a bit of hate for him. The whole Travis Scott thing, it was great. It was so good. I'm sorry, it was so funny.
I'm really interested to see what's happened there, because I've heard that The Rock was on Pat McAfee's show, and because obviously this all happened when I was traveling, I am going to go out of my way to actively listen to what was said.
Yeah,
I just don't understand why you would. I just don't understand why you would have one person there and not the other. I don't understand. Maybe that's just because
I don't know if he couldn't commit or something. But if I'm not being funny, if you can't commit, then just say you can't do the storyline or save it for another time. I don't know. But
I heard that he went off and said that Ari Emanuel said apparently that Elimination Chamber tickets weren't selling and that we need you there to sell tickets.
Right. Okay.
I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. Like. And whether or not that's true or not, for you to, and maybe he's just saying that to get a rise out of people. And if you have, good on you, you've got me evoked emotion. But if that's, I'm not even going to get into it. Mm-hmm. I'm not getting into it. I'm not wasting time. I'm not wasting time.
I honestly just loved it for all the wrong reasons. I went to bed a very, very happy man. I'm not going to lie. I liked it for all the wrong reasons. I was very biased in this match. I really was. And people were saying like, "Oh, is it because you love Cena so much?" I was like, "No, I didn't care if Cena won or not." Like, I just wanted to see Cody fail.
I just want to say I'm so happy that people are now having the same feelings about The Rock that I have had for a very long time. I have been criticized, brutalized on the internet for having my opinions about The Rock, and I'm so glad that people are now seeing the same thing that I am. I'm so glad that people are seeing.
With The Rock. And I think if he comes back and ends up contributing to the storyline, then fine. But at the moment, then I don't really see why John Cena sold his soul. Like I said, Travis Scott came out. It took him about 20 minutes to get to the ring. John Cena he might as well have just ran down the ramp and picked him up and carried him to the ring himself.
Yeah.
Like I'm so, but he didn't. He took a decent crossroads. To be fair to him, aside from that, I don't really know why he was there. Cody Rhodes being conflicted, hitting John Cena to hit John Cena with the belt, I thought was a bit stupid. But again, it feeds into my perfect match, perfect ending, greatest WrestleMania of all time. It was great. I thought people were very critical. Like I didn't know what you was expecting from this. He wasn't going to be a technical masterpiece. This isn't Kurt Angle versus like insert amazing wrestler here. This wasn't like Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano.
And that's not how it was being sold to you either. If that's what your expectation was going into it and coming out of it, you're now upset. I've said this multiple times, and I will continue to say this as a wrestling fan. Manage your expectations.
Yeah.
Do not get yourself up
for
something to be better in your mind than what you think it is, and then you get upset because it's not what you think it is.
And also listen to what the wrestlers are saying and listen to what the story's saying. He told you exactly what was going to happen.
As a wrestling fan, I used to have very high expectations, and I would be incredibly disappointed when they did not meet my expectations. And when the last couple of years since Triple H has been in charge of creative, there have been times where I have wanted something to happen and it hasn't happened, but I've had to remind myself, Courtney, you need to manage your expectations. Go in with low expectations, thinking that it's not going to happen, or just be ready to see what's being presented to you. And oftentimes you'll come out of it feeling so much better. I went into WrestleMania. I don't know if I said this to you guys, but I said this to the group of people that I was with. I said, I'm going in with very low expectations. I'm just going in to see what happens.
Yeah.
And think of all of the positive things I have said coming out of this year's WrestleMania. Because of the fact that I have kept my expectations low and just let WWE do what they do best and not gone in being
this alludes back to what we were saying before. Not only lower your expectations, but be patient. Because WrestleMania isn't the end of the story. It's the start of the story.
And it's the continuation of stories for some things too. We might see the stuff between Jade and Naomi continue. We're obviously going to see the stuff between Cody and John Cena continue.
Yeah.
We're seeing the continuation of the fallout from what happened on the Raw after WrestleMania after Becky and Lyra won the tag titles. 24 hours later, they were gone. WrestleMania doesn't necessarily need to be the start and the conclusion of storylines. It can be the continuation.
Yeah, it just happens to be the biggest show of the year. It doesn't need to start or end the story. But I said before this match started, I was speaking to a couple of people while I was watching it. I was like, what happened here in this match will define what happens for the next at least 8 months of wrestling. Just be prepared for that. Like, no matter what happens, be prepared for it. And I said this in the predictions. We've got 8 months of John Cena left. If you do not give him the title here, then there was no point of turning him heel.
Yeah.
If you don't give him the title here, then we don't have enough time to tell a compelling, interesting story where we go through the slow decline and the slow redemption of John Cena.
Yeah.
If you do not give him the title here, you do not get the great dream matches that we want with some of the people that are on the roster now. Some of his oldest rivals, like a Randy Orton, like a CM Punk. It doesn't.
It was the same thing
because
with
we don't have
Jey
enough
Uso. It's
time.
like if they didn't give him the title at WrestleMania while he was at the highest high within the momentum that he's had, it would have been all for nothing.
Exactly.
It's the same thing with this. It would have been all for nothing. And that's what a lot of people would have said. And I would have said the same thing. Like, you know, especially with the Jey Uso, you know, if you're not going to give him this moment on the biggest stage of them all, how much longer are you going to prolong this for? It all serves a bigger purpose. And I'm so glad that the three of us, and I know that G will feel the exact same, that we all are aware that you need to be patient with Triple H's storylines and that they do end up being a lot better than what you're initially thinking if you just sit back, be patient, manage your expectations, and just enjoy the ride. Because at the end of the day, that is what wrestling is meant to be. You're supposed to enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, I'm sorry, brother, there's something wrong.
IWC tastes so good, by the way. Amazing. This is full of the community's tears. It's amazing.
I was gonna say, I think that's the best thing to end it on, is just like manage your expectations and let it ride out.
Just
so
enjoy it.
yeah, just enjoy it. Yeah. Reese, can you do what you do best? Can you shoot us a promo to wrap us up, brother?
I can indeed, but I just want to quickly give my top 5 matches of the weekend just because I think obviously we need a bit of love. Obviously, I want to talk about the Fatal 4-Way women's match at Stand and Deliver. I thought that was absolutely amazing. Whether we love it or we hate it, shout out to the NXT tag team match, Fraxin versus Hank and Tank. That match was unbelievable. Fair play to it. Like I said, my top 3 matches on the WrestleMania card was probably the IC Triple Threat, the Women's Fatal 4-Way, which probably should have main evented, and the main event of night 1. They're probably my top 5 matches for the week. But apart from that, go check out Monday Night Raw because it was arguably just as good as WrestleMania, to be honest with you. And then go check out NXT because that provided its own, special sauce in its own little way. But for now, guys, this has been the end officially from the Outcasted point of view of WrestleMania week. I hope you've enjoyed it. Shout out to Courtney for actually going and living her dreams. You got to love it. She's got a WrestleMania moment of her own, so you've got to love that as well. WrestleMania in the books. You have got Monday Night Raw in the books, NXT in the books. Stay tuned for SmackDown coming up on Friday. And if you're interested in TNA, they've got a little bit of a pay-per-view on Sunday, so make sure you watch out for that as well. If you like this video, if you like the podcast, make sure you check out all of our older content. Heading into WrestleMania, we've got some live streams as well. Make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you never miss a video. Go follow us on them other beautiful, juicy platforms like Instagram, X, and TikTok at OutcastedOC. But for now, that's been Court, that's been Ross, and this has been Reese saying goodbye. Peace out.
Cielo.